All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the decks I'm most interested in, where I'm at with them, and I'm going to probably go through and do gameplays for each of them over the coming weeks, and we'll do the usual, like I'll play it for an hour and talk about it. But right now I know a lot of you want ideas, a lot of you want cards to play with, and you want to know thoughts about cards now that I've actually gotten to play with the cards in question. What's really good, what's not holding up, right? That's the kind of stuff we like to do. So I'm going to try to do something like that. And for those of you net deckers who want to copy my work, you are welcome to it. I'm not going to post all these deck lists. They're not posted anywhere. You won't find them in my deck box. You won't find them in the description. But you can watch these videos, and I'm just going to thumb through them really quick and talk about each deck. So, we're just going to have a little chat time. I hope that's okay with you guys. We'll get into gameplay soon enough, but I've got a handful of things to go over. First up is what we're just playing. This is Sion Procession. It's an infinite combo deck. The keys to it: Eldrazi Displacer, Eyeless Watcher, or Drowner of Hope, but anything that creates 2 Scions, and Anointed Procession. So once Anointed Procession gets onto the battlefield, you make 4 Scions every time an Eyeless Watcher enters the battlefield, and you can sacrifice 3 of those Scions for mana to activate your Eldrazi Displacer to target the Eyeless Watcher to enter the battlefield to make 4 Scions, which you can then sacrifice 3 of them to Eldrazi Displacer the Eyeless Watcher to make 4 Scions, and repeat to your heart's content. So what do you do? What do you build around the deck to make this all happen? You can sacrifice your Scions for mana, of course. So now that you have as many Scions as you want, you can sacrifice them to make the biggest walking ballista necessary. So you can make a 20/20 ballista and just ping them for 20. The problem with this combo is it freezes the game. So that is a bit of a problem. And to not freeze the game, I believe you just have to, what you can do to not freeze the game is you can play it for, say, when you only have 2 Scions out, you can play it for 2, and then you can make 4 Scions at a time and then pump the 4 Scions back into the ballista so that it doesn't freeze up. This takes forever. But it does work. That is a way you can win. A few things I didn't catch on release evening. This is Pious Evangel. Whenever the Evangel or another creature enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. So this works great with the Scions. Just on the battlefield on its own, it gains infinite life with the combo. But if you flip it into Wayward Disciple while going off, whenever another creature dies, your opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. Well, Scions are dying when you're making that mana, mana. So, this is another way to kill while going off with the combo, as well as just gaining the infinite life that usually gets people to concede all on its own. Usually once you have Anointer Priest and Pious Evangel out gaining a ton of life, they just concede on their own. So other things we put in the deck: Embalm. Since Embalm makes tokens, it's a really good use of mana and has some synergy with the Search, which I'm going to get into. So our Search cards: Benefication of Ronos finds creatures and enchantments. Vessel of Nascency finds artifact, creature, enchantment, or land. Our combo is made of creatures and enchantments, so those are both really good picks. From Beyond is an enchantment that you can find that can search for parts of the combo, so that's pretty good. So yeah, there you go. And now that we're putting things in our graveyard and trying to get through our deck, Embalm creatures become really good. So whenever you embalm something from the graveyard, it becomes a token, so it doubles off Anointed Procession, it triggers Anointer Priest. So we've got Trueheart Duelist and we've got Sacred Cats that we can play from the graveyard, and we usually end up putting them there with the Vessels or the Benefications. So it's an engine deck. And my first instinct was that this would not be good at all. And I've been a little bit shocked at just how resilient the deck is. For one thing, against mid-range, if they don't put a clock on you, and they try to deal with you by removal, they better be able to remove the procession. If they can't remove the procession or don't have removal when it comes out, they can just lose to the value game of making a ton of Scions. If they do remove the procession, now they have to deal with the value game of Walking Ballista, of Embalmed creatures coming out of the graveyard, of Ishkana and Drowner tapping their big things, and they have to deal with this card, Westvale Abbey. So this is another one that just wins out of nowhere while the opponent tries to contain the combo. If they contain your combo really well, you can sometimes just Westvale Abbey them. It's really reliable at finding other ways to win when it needs to. Even if the opponent resolves an Ulamog, exiles your Anointed Procession and your Displacer, you can go into like a From Beyond Drowner of Hope thing where you just tap Ulamog every turn. I've done that. It's pretty fun. And they don't get anywhere with it. Throw in a Pious Evangel and flip it, and you start draining them. Eventually they die. You can also just make huge Walking Ballistas. So the deck has a value game, and if you were watching a few minutes ago, against mono red, it's just a nightmare. Anointer Priest into Pious Evangel into a bunch of Scions as you're gaining so much life and coming up the board. So this deck is pretty sweet, and I'll thumb through it one more time. If you net deckers want to take it for a spin, you just need to open up your eyes, grab a little notepad or something, jot it down, and that's where we're at. All right. Don't forget you can pause the video. Also, well, not if you're live streaming, but when you watch it back later. So, Esper Control. I call this deck the answer, and it's because it has more universal answers than any deck in Duels ever has. It's slow, it's clunky, it's awkward, but if it's given the time, as if it isn't against the most explosive draws or doesn't have the way to deal with it, just about anything that the opponent plays can be answered. And you're going to see kind of the universal answer approach in counter spells that can counter anything, unconditional, Anguish Unmaking, Cast Out, that can hit just about everything, Never can hit creatures and planeswalkers, Commit can hit anything, all right? And then we've got some weird cards that I'll get into in a minute. But in order to live that long, we've got Fatal Push, we've got Blessed Alliance, we've got Censor, we've got Renewed Faith to hopefully let us get our mana set up so that we can do things. And now we've got a few other just knickknacks like Trial of Ambition, and Blessed Alliance also can hit a guy as Revenge or something like that. But there's other ways against Hexproof too, and I'll get into that over here. Because a few cards that have really impressed me are these split cards. These, so Never, I wasn't very impressed when I first saw it because I thought we should have had it a long time ago, but just having the Aftermath side at all is like a free card. Each of these is a small bit of card advantage, and every split card has done me better than I thought it would. So here's Rags to Riches. This is a card I didn't hear people actually get very excited about at all. And the fun thing about Riches, actually, is the Aftermath. This can grab an Ulamog or a Gaia's Revenge, something like that in the late game when the opponent resolves some big threat that is hard for you to interact. You can flashback Riches and just nail it, right? So, I mean, that's pretty sweet. I'm a big fan. Bigger than I thought I'd be. And right now it's in the deck instead of Languish, so that tells you what I think of having that flip side option. It's pretty awesome. For finishers, I've definitely I've moved away from Planeswalkers, too much direct interaction for them now, and I'm on Disciple of the Ring, which is such a pain to kill, and Gear Hulk, also other ways to, but that's really about it for ending the game. I have Awaken cards like Planar Outburst and Scatter to the Winds, and I have Shambling Vent. I also steal the opponent's stuff with Rags to Riches. And I haven't had trouble winning games. I have Memory to shuffle to Time Twister my deck if there are answers to my win conditions to try all over again. So haven't had a lot of trouble. Sometimes I even win with the 2/2 off of Never Return. But yeah, these split cards, just about all the rare ones and several of the uncommon ones, are a lot better than I thought. Like a lot better. And I really like this deck, but it is clunky. You do need time to set up. You need a lot of time. If the opponent has the most aggressive draw, you just get run over. But if you get even a little hint of time, or you have a sensor at the right moment, just having answers that can kill and steal and counter just about anything makes the opponent feel very helpless. So we scrolled through that really quick. Hopefully you saw, hopefully you try, hopefully you like it. You need a lot of patience to play this version of Esper. A lot of patience to play this version of Esper. And we're going to go over Dimir control, which is very similar, just without the white. So a few things in chat. How do you figure your mana count? Well, anything with pull from tomorrow, I'm running either ramp spells or 26 lands. Sometimes 27. I think I have 27 in one of my decks, but I've tried that. Anyway, figuring out your land count. There's a few books that I've read and a few Magic articles I've read, and I often go back to it. If you're getting the wrong amount of lands and you're running a pretty good amount that is recommended by people who are smarter than I am and smarter than most Magic players are, then you're just getting bad draws, and you have to just have to move on from that. That happens sometimes. All right, this is blue-black, very similar. It just has a lot. When you go away from 3-color, like it's particularly Esper, because the mana requirements for Esper are tougher than most, then you get into easier to cast removal, and that's mainly what you get by going 2-color. What you lose is a bit of that versatility, the deal with everything. Also, black and blue often lacks life gain, so running Essence Extraction I think is important. I love this card. This card has been really awesome. I can't fit it into the Esper deck, it's too loaded with answers, but in decks that just need to draw more of specific answers, I highly recommend it. And then we have the typical end game, the same split cards, and 26 lands, including a Westvale Abbey, because sometimes you need an alternate win condition, and you can afford to play something like this in a 2-color deck. I don't think you can afford it in a 3-color deck, my opinion. And we'll flip through. This is my black-blue list for you control mages who like your Jason Liliana combos, who like your control dark and dank and dreary. So My Little Pony reference. All right, and next up, okay, I like this one. This is Zombie Haven. So this is the deck I'm pretty stoked about playing. Getting Drake Haven out there, right? Seeing what you can do with Drake Haven. So I keep trying that in control lists, and I often find it gets blown up pretty quickly, or I just don't have the cards to really pay it off. Maybe I make 1 or 2 Drakes, but not much comes of it. But this deck just goes hog wild. So I was playing this deck earlier today, and my curve was Dread Wanderer, so I got a 2-1 out there. That part didn't matter much. Turn 2, Cathartic Reunion. Turn 3, Drake Haven. By the way, I discarded a Haunted Dead. And turn 4, I animated Haunted Dead. I discarded 2 Prized Amalgams, and I used 2 mana to make 2 Drakes. So if you're keeping up, I untap the next turn with a 2/2, a 1/1 Spirit, a pair of 2/2 Drakes, and a pair of Prized Amalgams. It was glorious. Now that, of course, is Magical Christmas Land, but the deck has a lot going on to keep the redundancy up and to get you through your deck. So let's walk through it, talk a little. This is not a great card, but it's better than nothing. I usually don't even play it when I have it in my hand on turn 1, if I have other things to, unless I have other things I want to discard. I usually end up discarding this for effect and getting it back later. And Neonate, you know, he just serves the job to help you get through that deck. Lightning Axe is great, especially against Glorybringer, a card I'm sure I'll talk about. Jace is Jace, and Scrap Heap's good. None of this is a big mystery. All of this was here and in decks I made before the new expansion, but man, does Haven pull it together. You just spike Haven on 3, and then you start discarding things all over the place, like you can see, and making a ton of Drakes. If they don't deal with it right away, they're just going to die. And then Hazaret's in here. He's a player too. He's a really good discard engine, and he also just slams into the opponent. But the real all-star, like, you would think that was important, right? But in the 10-ish games I've played with this deck, here's your all-star. Cut to ribbons. half the time I don't even cast the front side. I just discard it to Cathartic Reunion or something. I chuck a few Tempers at them, and then I eventually just ribbons them, and they die. It's pretty cool. I'm being corrected that Hazaret, the Fervent, is a she. Okay. Gods, you know, they can be whatever they want, right? Just like people these days. Never doing never things, it's fine. And again, I have Rags to Riches in here. This is more of a concession to laddering. When you ladder, you have to be able to sweep the board at some level because Thopters still get played and Elves still get played and just all these little dorks get played. But I do love kind of hitting my land drops. I don't discard my lands as often as you'd think with this version of the deck because I want to play ribbons for much. And then I also want to use the other side of Rags, Riches, and take control of their big things. So I've taken control of Ulamog. I think I told you about that. But with this deck, that's a big deal because there used to basically be Ulamog is game over. There's no way to interact. Now I just steal it from you. Thank you very much. And I also have stolen an Archangel Avacyn. This was sweet. I stole an Archangel Avacyn with an Angelic Destiny on it, and then I sacrificed my Insolent Neonate to flip the Avacyn and wipe his board and kill him with, yeah, a 10-9 Archangel Avacyn. It was excellent. I keep on wanting to use Glorious because I'm a Bobby Roode fan in WWE or NXT right now. I'm going to try to use different adjectives, but every time I have a story like that, I want to say Glorious. So I'm just going to throw that out there. So let's walk through the mana base. Nothing too radical. And now I'll walk it back for those of you who might want to play this deck. Make sure that you can see the numbers and try it out. And please, if you play these decks, comment on YouTube, Twitch, or something. Whisper to me, whatever. Let me know how it goes, because I want to know. I want to know what changes you might want to make and such. Okay, Black Aggro. Black Aggro is sick. So, everybody's doing black zombies. I did a mono black zombies at release party. But if you just... like, if you're playing mono black and you dump that tribe, you end up with a pretty gross deck. This deck is nasty and is quick and it is brutal. And you've got a whole bunch of... you've got 5 1-drops. So we're getting up there with like the white human decks. So that's pretty cool. And then we have a Walking Ballista. We've got Fatal Push, of course. Despoiler of Souls, making a comeback, but it's no problem to cast when you're all black. Siphoner is a pretty great card. We have some Aether Hubs just to try to draw a card with him on turn 1, so it's kind of ridiculous. And then we have Gifted Aetherborn, of course. Scrap Heap, Smuggler's Copter, Grasp of Darkness. Like, look at this. All these cards are good, right? I mean, there's just... it used to be so hard to make a monocolor deck, and now the only thing questionable here is Reaver Drone. And I could be playing more removal spells, or I could be playing something like Yahenni, but I found the 1-drops really got the job done against vehicles, so that you could be more aggressive than they are. And then we have Harvester, we got Murder, we got Liliana, this guy making a bit of a comeback, and Kalitas, and then, of course, we have a Bone Picker. Yes, chat's already on it. Is Bone Picker in there? You bet Bone Picker's in there. So, there he is, in all his bird glory. Now, the times I have played this for 1 within the first 3 turns, this card is awesome. Of course, the other times, it's not as great. But the upside is definitely there. The bird has some hops, all right? And I'm pretty excited about this deck. I don't even know what changes I make to it at this point. It's been really brutal to deal with. We throw in the Cruiser, we throw in the Never, and we throw in 2 Aether Hubs and 20 Swamps because we need everything to produce black, because we often have to play multiple black cards in a turn, multiple double black cards in a turn. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. It's really a lot better than I had expected. Much better than my zombie version. But don't worry, there is a zombie deck down the road. And this is gonna be me talking for a while, but I think you guys are enjoying it based on how many people are here in the comments, so I'm gonna keep it going. I think it's a good kind of recap of where we're gonna start the season, and then we can go back over it as the season goes on. It's also a preview of what I'm going to play in the coming weeks. Maybe you guys can help me decide what to play later. So red-black aggro. This, yeah, this is basically the unlicensed disintegration deck. There's a lot you can do with red-black. You can go for the Hellbent strategy and maybe use the new Minotaur, things like that. You can also go for Madness cards. You can play the artifact themes. This version is just the only theme we're trying to do is artifacts. So we're not trying to mix it with the discard and the Hellbent and the Madness and the vampires and any of the other tribal stuff. We're just going for artifacts and quick beats. So in that spirit, one card we're trying here from the new set is Harsh Mentor. Anytime this guy gets like one thing, anytime you get this guy with one thing, it's pretty good. It is pretty freaking good. So that's why he's in there. Now, how often you get them one time, one free shock out of the card, that remains to be seen. I'm not absolutely certain that it's the right thing to play right now, but it's the one I'm going to try. So that's what's up with Harsh Mentor in the deck. We had us opening in the 2-drop. Maybe it's supposed to be Abbot of Carol Keep. Maybe it's supposed to be Walking Ballista. Right now I'm trying the Mentor. Because I found that I just win just about any game where I get one activation out of it. So it's pretty cool. Next up, we've got a bunch of stuff you'd expect to see. A bunch of artifact synergy. Not looking new, oh wait, what's that? That's cut to ribbons. This thing is even better when you're aggressive. It's freaking broke when you're aggressive. You just play this on turn 2, move out, or turn 3, whatever. You move a blocker out of the way, you hit them, and now they know. There's this ticking time bomb. You actually play out your lands, you use some mana sinks, and then you ribbons them, and you win. It's excellent. And hey, since we like playing our lands now, since we're not running like some 22 land variant of this deck, how about the best mid-range card in the set, Glorybringer? How about we go up to bringing glory? This card is a lot like, you know that feeling? You know that feeling of just destroying the opponent that you get when you, say, play a Sky Sovereign and you have a Thopter Engineer to give it haste? Well, Glorybringer feels like that, and you don't have the Thopter Engineer. It's excellent. It's so excellent. In fact, it's so good, and I love that feeling so much. I'm like, hey, if I'm going up to 5 anyway, I'm going to play Sky Sovereign too. So if I get to 5 mana, and I have either of these cards, and the game is even like close to an even board, whether they're mid-range or whether they're another aggro deck, like whoever gets to do this usually wins. So I'm very much enjoying it. And that I like going up on the top end. That's why we have 25 lands. So let's get into the lands really quick. Just a lot of red and black, one Foundry of the Consuls. I want my 24 lands to be colored, and then like my 25th and 26th land I'm not afraid to have as a brown land because they're extra anyway. Also tells me whether or not I'm flooding out because of that. But anyway, one Foundry to work with Thopter Engineer and just give us a little tiny bit more oomph like we ever need it. And so yeah, let's walk it back. If you want to try this deck, if you want to smash some people, this thing goes fast. This thing goes fast. It's a killer. It's a killer, yo. All right. So that's the red-black thing. Let's get into something I haven't done in a long time. It's blue-red prowess. And why do we revisit prowess? I'll spoil it for you before we even get in there, because Enigma Drake has some buzz. So let's jump right to Enigma Drake really quick. It's pretty much the new card in the deck. It's the card that has a little bit of excitement. Power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in the graveyard. So how do we make this thing do work? Well, we just run a lot of instants and sorceries. So we got impulses, we got the 8 shocks basically to clear the way for our smaller creatures. We got Titan Strength, Expedite. So a very common ending to this game is you hit them with everything for a couple of turns. They deal with it, but they tap out to do something, like, say, play a planeswalker, and you play Enigma Drake, and you expedite it. And they take like 7 or 8, something ridiculous. So it's pretty gross. Apart from that, we only have 1 slip through space because nearly everything has evasion here. This flies, this goes direct to the dome, this has menace. So the only thing this clears the way for itself. So the only thing we slip through space really is the Abbot. It's not a big deal. And but then the other creatures, we've got the Thing, we've got the Abbot, we've got the Karizev, we've got Thermo Alchemist, which some would say is a Nombo with Titan Strength, but I can't tell you how many times I've used it to make a 3/4 blocker and kill something important. So I don't think it's a total Nombo. And then we run Censor, because the opponent's going to be taxed to deal with our stuff quickly, and if they try to do it at instant speed, there's nothing like a good Censor. Collective Defiance, you don't always want to wheel your hand when it's full of spells, but sometimes you use that to pump the Drake, and it's pretty ridiculous. And of course, it's Collective Defiance. It's a good card. And Fevered Visions. So that's blue-red Prowess. Also Thermo Alchemist in the same deck, doing crazy things. Gemini's here. Gemini's gone. What's up? Bye-bye. And then down here, we'll just walk it back so you can check that out if you want to try the list. I think it's pretty good. I win games very quickly in ridiculous fashion. I'm not running Fling. There's definitely some discussion of Fling in a deck like this, but for me, it was a clunker. It just wasn't there for me when I had to have it. So that's what's up on Prowess. Teamer Energy, Flame Shadow Energy, an absolute favorite from last season was my Flame Shadow Energy deck. So we'll give you a quick update to that. There isn't a lot to do, and I hope you guys even still like it, because I have gutted some of the fun stuff so that it could keep up and deal with things a little better. One thing, so the big addition to the deck is, probably unsurprising, Glorybringer. And the combo with Glorybringer, first of all, any kind of copy effect with Glorybringer is great. So if you are Flame Shadow copying, if you are Saheeli Rai copying, and if you are Essence Fluxing, these are all great things to do with your Glorybringer to kill more things and attack more. But aside from that, sometimes you exert your Glorybringer and you just need to untap your Glorybringer. So here is Bounding Krasis joining the deck, which is very good with exert cards. It can untap your exert card. Ta-da! No big deal. And pretty straightforward, but also because it has an Enters the Battlefield ability, it's great off Flame Shadow Conjuring. It's great off of Baral's Expertise. It's great off of Saheeli Rai. It's great with Essence Flux. So it fits the deck like a glove. And the other addition is Bristling Hydra. Against control decks that were actually good at dealing with everything, we needed something that could just go hexproof and drive people crazy. So that's what Bristling Hydra's in here for. And since it makes energy, it's not bad with all the copying and bouncing and flame shadowing. It works just fine with those. It's got its own Enters the Battlefield ability that you can channel elsewhere, either to make the Hydra bigger and better, or to make more Thopters, or to make more Trample, whatever. So this deck is a ton of fun. Tons of ETB, tons of craziness, and we did have to cut some of the funnest things for Glorybringer and Bristling Hydra and Bounding Krasis. We cut Altered Ego, we cut Combustible Gearhulk, we cut Aetherwind Basker. So I'm sorry, we did neuter the deck a little bit from the fun side, but trust me, I'm still having plenty of fun making copies of Glorybringer. So there's that. And so we'll walk it back for anybody wanting to copy this down and play it. Again, if you want to net deck me, that's totally cool. Have fun. And let me know what you would change or what worked or did not work for you. Always curious. Moving right along. Sticking on the energy theme. Red-green. So a lot of buzz on red-green going into this set that I heard from people I trust and people that I know are good. And I tried a lot of red-green variants, and I hated most of them. And I mean just red-green, not like the teamer deck I just talked about, but just red-green. So I've had a lot of problems with this stuff, with making red-green good. And I eventually have sided just on energy, because this is the most aggressive and kills people the fastest. The fastest. So that's what we're doing primarily with this deck. The flex spots I'm not sure about are Sage of Nature's Claims and Highspire Infusions. Right now I'm on 4 of each. And what keeps happening is I'll try things in this spot like Chandra or Samut, and they just don't do it. Nothing good happens. So I go back to running the Sages and the Highspires, and the deck gets quicker, more consistent, and just does better. There's a few videos of me turn 4 killing people with this deck, even through fog on YouTube. I encourage you to check that out sometime. But as far as new cards for this, we've got Ronus. Ronus is pretty sweet. Just kind of a one of Mythic that fits like a glove. And you know who? Glorybringer. When you absolutely have to win the frickin' game, this is your boy. And other than that, Insult. Insult's a really good one. This one doesn't need to be part of some huge combo, but it can. So sometimes you just have 2 big-ish creatures on turn 4 and you insult and you win. You don't need to Highspire and you don't need to have other effects, but you have those too. So insult goes a long way. And then we've got the mana base, 24, keeping it pretty straight. So walk it back. Anybody wants to play this deck? It's the only way I've made red-green good so far, and I'm not sure the list is perfect, like I said. If you want to try some different cards, probably 1 Sage and a Highspire can go. That's about what I got. Somebody asked how many more decks I have. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news if you just want to see playstyle, because I still got more! I work hard, and don't worry, we'll get into stuff. But I do want to show off just some lists if people want to get into, just if they need some ideas of things to play or want to see what I've been up to. Because I get asked all the time what new things I'm playing, and I only make 1 video a day. So, okay, this deck. I got the inspiration for this deck from that game I posted on YouTube, that hour-long game that was ridiculous, and the person who played Oath of Nissa and all forests. And that was how they played like 12 planeswalkers. So that's where this came from. But it's not as crazy, as absolutely crazy as you're thinking, okay? So first of all, we have Oath of Nissa, which if you have this, you can resolve your planeswalkers just fine. It's gorgeous, but you don't have to have it. So let me show you what else we have. Cultivator's Caravan helps a little bit. Aether Hub helps a little bit, but here's the real, like, the sleeper, okay? Here's the sleeper. This is Gift of Paradise. Gift of Paradise says, Enchantland has add 2 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. So you throw this on one of your forests, and then you can play all kinds of planeswalkers with it. You can play your Gideon of the Trials. You can play your Liliana the Last Hope. You can play your Gideon ally of Zendikar. You can play your Chandra Torch of Defiance. Tamio needs more help, so does Nahiri. But you can play your Jace, and your Ob, and your other Lily, and your Chandra. It's crazy. So if you love Super Friends, if you love 5-color, but you hate building 5-color mana bases, here's the deck for you. 20 forests, 3 Aether Hubs, and we actually play all this stuff a lot more than you think we should be able to. It's a wild ride. And it does have a fail rate. It absolutely has a fail rate, but it is kind of a blast. How about the Build Your Own Black Lotus Artifact Avocado? Great question. I tried that card. Let's pull it up here really quick. Okay, Pyramid of the Pantheon. I tried this card. It did not work for me. It just did not work for me. I never needed it. I was always able to get the mana I needed without it, and it was always awkward. If you want it, I wouldn't hate you for running it. I'm not sure what I'd replace. I wouldn't replace a planeswalker or a creature, because as you can see, we also have a vehicle sub-theme. We're playing Smuggler's Copter and Aether Spear Harvester. Turns out vehicles defend planeswalkers really well, because if you have a creature and a vehicle, they need 2 removal spells to break through and get to the planeswalker. It's actually pretty gross. So yeah, I copied a seal. I went out there and I stole from somebody who I made fun of in that game, and I tried to have a take on it, and it went well. And another card thing that you can do is run Crumbling Vestige. Somebody did suggest that. I'm just being a lot more gutsy, I guess, and this works for me right now. Will it work for you? Play it. There's definitely a fail rate, like I said. There is a fail rate on this deck. Some games, you will draw all mythic cards that are not green and forests, but it's not as bad as you'd think. It's actually more effective than I ever thought, and I love it. It just cracks me up. And yes, yes, Trisman, Chronic Slow Play was the person we battled who did this. But yeah, that's a deck. All right, moving right along. Bant, the big runner-up to our quest for the best in Aether Revolt, did get a few changes. Not a big change, but Glory-Bound Initiate gets in there because Exert works well with Bounding Crassus. And we also got Thalia back in the deck because I think she's going to be more important than usual with Glorybringer in the format and being awesome. Gideon made the cut to just get us that 4/4 beat stick. And then we have Prepare to Fight, which is another great card with Exert because it untaps the creature. And it's just value on a stick. And again, I've been overly, excessively impressed with these split cards. I mean, yeah, that's a super expensive fight when Prey Upon costs 1, but you don't have to cast it. It's only there if you absolutely decide you need it. So, I loves it. And it gets there, yo. And what else we got? So, yeah. I think that'll be a quick update on Bant. I can't even think of a lot more to say about that, other than we leaned heavy on the white. You might turn Gisela into Big Nissa. I really don't like the Simic Nissa in this. I don't like the new Nissa. I feel like you're playing a tempo get 'em dead game, and I feel like she's playing a grindy, dirtily game. So she is not my pick for this deck. And we'll walk it back if you want to try the list at all and see what happens. Just walking it back, walking it back, walking it back. You really want that double white. The only double green is Gear Hulk, and there's no double blue. So set up that double white if you play this thing. Simic Ramp. Yeah, buddy. How many Exert do I have in the deck? Just 2. But they come out on turn 2, so if you do play one, you definitely want to be able to untap it if you did draw it. If you don't, the cards that work with Exert, they work on other things too. So it's not like we're dedicating the whole deck to using Exert. Anyway, Simic Ramp. You want the new Nissa. You want a Dirtle. You want to push a bunch of mana into a Planeswalker so you can ultimate it the turn you play it. Yeah, that's what this deck does. This deck is so much fun. And yeah, 4 Fog. Because, I don't know, I always want one. It's like the best part of the deck. It's not a Turbo Fog deck, but the fact that it can just keep dirtling away with its Planeswalkers while hiding behind some fogs and having huge pull from tomorrows to draw more fogs, and just getting every turn is value. Every turn, the value just keeps piling up till the opponent can't take it anymore. And it's excellent. I'm telling you, it's fun. So Walking Ballista is great with a bunch of mana. Fog gets you to a bunch of mana. Baral is like the 5th Druid of the Cowl by making your explosive vegetations cheaper, as well as getting you that extra pull from tomorrow. And it works with a bunch of other things. So Baral makes the cut. Druid is awesome in this deck, but we don't play cards like Displacement Wave and cards like Crush of Tentacles because we don't want to bounce our Druids. We want them on the battlefield producing for us every turn. Pull is, I think I pulled for 12 on a very early turn. I don't think my opponent had their 5th land in play. it was gross. Nissa doing Nissa things, other Nissa doing the other Nissa things. Don't be afraid to let your Nissas die. This was something I had to get used to. If the opponent is attacking your Nissas and not your life total, and you have Fog in hand, it's often correct to let your Nissa die, so that you can play the other Nissa or pulse back your Nissa and save your Fog for when they attack your face. Just throwing that out there. Bounty, if this sticks, you're just getting so much out of it every turn. Veggies is great. Kiora, you know. Brawls, there's your bounce spell. And, but boom, Jace is fine. Another planeswalker you can turtle up and dirtle up behind. Torrential Gearhulk flashes back Fog. Also Pulse and Marasa. But that's really about it. And then Part the Water Veil, Green Warden, you know, these are the big top end. Sandworm Convergence is your end game. When you just start, you're either fogging their attacks or you're hitting the Time Walk and you're getting a 5/5 every turn. Pretty excellent. And it's no problem getting to 8. It's just about when you'll draw Sandworm Convergence. And of course, Ulamog fits that job as well. And this card, another split card, another ridiculous card in my opinion. Spring to Mind, like, I love this card. I want it all the time. I end up flashing back Mind because you need that filler, right? You ramp up twice, say you spring, then you veggies, then you say go, and you don't have much going on. Say you have a Fog, so they don't do anything. But then you just cast Mind, and you fill your hand up a little, and you keep your engine going. It's excellent. Commit to Memory in this deck was interesting, but not quite necessary. Not quite necessary. So, is Sandworm Convergence in there because it is good or as a crowd pleaser? I think it's the right finisher for this deck. For one thing, they already have their enchantment removal taxed by Bounty or artifact removal taxed by Ballista, and you need something big that's going to win you the game. You're not in a big rush. If I played like Gaia's Revenge, I think that's easier to answer at this stage than Sandworm Convergence is, and you can get it back. If they Rec Sage it, you Green Warden, you can just bring that thing back, do it again. Or, I have done this, you can hit it off Nissa, or wait, it's creatures. What was it? What was it that I put it into play with? What did I put it into play with? That doesn't make sense. I couldn't do it off Nissa, so how did I do it? I don't remember now. Maybe that was a card that's not in the deck anymore. Is there a way to play it for free? Oh yeah, the Vault. There was an Oracle Vault I was testing, but it's absolutely not necessary in here. Let's see, is Big Nissa ever good? Absolutely, but probably in something a little more aggressive, or something that has no way to deal with Planeswalkers. No Weaver of Currents. I think that is shock bait, and I basically would always rather have the land in play than the Weaver, but maybe that's just me. I don't like the Weaver. He and I don't get along, or she and I, whatever it is. I don't even look at the art. And then we got the lands, so I'll walk that one back. I think I pretty much enough saided this. You make a bunch of mana, you draw a bunch of cards, you fog your opponent when they're trying to kill you, and then you just win with giant awesome things. Oh, don't forget to pull for about 10 plus. It's pretty good stuff. And that's the Simic ramp thing. Alright, so here's how much longer we have to go. Still a little ways. I'm trying to do it fast. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Again, this is just a quick me going over all the decks I'm trying and playing and talking a billion words and talking about some of the new Amonkhet cards and how they're actually performing, as it's kind of like a follow-up, if you will, to our initial reactions. So Delirium, this isn't a big surprise. Trial of Ambition is one card that we can fit in here. Enchantment type is good. It's not necessarily going straight to the graveyard, but with Vessel you can pick it if you want to, and you can also get it back with Big Nissa if you want to, so those are a few reasons to try Trial in here. What else is new? Not a lot new for Delirium, to be honest, but this is probably the best thing that's new. This is really where this card enjoys living. This is where it belongs. It helps get you Delirium on the way up instead of the way down. So it's just a really good deck to have, or a card to have. Plus, when it gets back an Ishkana or a Gearhulk, you feel pretty cool. And there's the Noxious, there's the Bellower. The only other new addition is to help this green-black deck deal with planeswalkers, which is something that has been a problem with it for a long time. So that's how Never made the cut. And yeah, mana base. So this is a quick stop in for sure, because there's not that much that's new. It's all just pretty natural homes, and it's just a few cards to make what was a pretty good deck better, I think. And I would much rather be playing Green-Black Delirium than I would Winding Constrictor. Are any of the cartouches worth it to try to enable a trial? I do not think so. But I haven't done too much with the cartouches, to be fair. I do have them in a white deck. I have some cartouche action coming up, but it's not a big deal. It's not that big of a deal. Red-blue control. So I feel like this deck got so much. Anyway, right off the bat, we have Magma Spray to help kill Scrap Heap Scroungers, Dread Wanderers, and other things. And I'm thinking about adding more, because you run into some decks with a lot of use for it that you want all the exile against. So that's why I'm running right now. Pull, this is great. Sensor is fantastic. Essence Scatter, I think the right number needs to be there. I don't think I'd ever run 4. Tower, your typical win condition if they can't kill an artifact. If they can, you'll find another way. This, like cover your eyes. Like the mana curve, it's got a lot of 4s, right? But that's because most of them are the hieroglyphic illumination. And like I said, in a 2-color deck that's trying to hit specific answers because we're limited by rarity restrictions, this card is awesome. I love this card. I love playing this card in every way. It's excellent. Then our winners are Disciple and Torrential, and we do have Commit in here. When we have the Commit Gearholt combo, so you can Time Twister at instant speed on their end step. It's glorious. I told you I'd try to find another word. Sorry. We don't have life gain in the deck, so you don't always use your Westvale Abbey for creatures, but in a control mirror you definitely do. And the mana's pretty darn good, because you get to play 3 Aether Hubs for free for the most part, since you have other energy-producing cards in the deck. And, yeah, this puts you to sleep, but it wins games. And I would call it pretty darn solid. No Planeswalkers. Moving away from Planeswalkers in my control decks, that's weird. But I think it's where you want to go now that they get blown up a lot easier than they used to. Moving right into blue-white. Not going to spend a ton of time, but blue-white is a little different. It doubles down on the cycling a bit more, and you get to play Cast Out, which is awesome. So this version has Drakehaven. I also love Renewed Faith in my control decks. 1, 2, in this case 3. I'd much rather have this than Telling Time. Getting a little bit of life back to give you the time to find things and getting your card. I prefer this by a lot. Plus you can flash it back if you're in the danger zone with the Gear Hulk. And Gideon, this card's been very meh for me, but I think this is a decent home. This is a place where whether you drop it on turn 3 or turn 30, he usually gets some work done. And Cast Out. The best reason to play white control is to have this available to you. It is excellent. And I haven't had mine blown up yet. Nobody's blown up my Cast Outs yet. Come on, people. Let's get on that. The meta needs to evolve. Glimmers, more Illuminations, because that's amazing. We've got Planar Outburst in this one. And then we've got our bunch of lands. Since we have a lot of life gain in this deck with Renewed Faith, you get to Westvale Abbey kind of for free, so you actually win plenty of games with Westvale tokens, which is, on its own, pretty fun. Alright. Moving right along. Okay, this deck is still experimental, but this is me trying to make Dusk or Dawn work. Make Dusk or Dawn happen. It requires such a specific deck, but when it does work, it works big time. So this is my attempt at such a thing. It's kind of a blue-white vehicle, aggro-y, tempo-y thing. I don't know. It feels half control-y because we've got a bunch of like these, I would call them sub-power removal spells, but we need some removal spells, right? So it's kind of weird. Avocado says, how often do you cast Illumination instead of cycling it? All the time. I cycle it as a last result, like I can't hit my land drops. Most of the time I cast it. Good question. River Marshal's a good mana sink, so is Walking Ballista when the games go long, and they do go longer than you'd expect. This deck gets grindy. And then we have, like, these two are the best things to get back with a Dusk to Dawn. We've got some vehicles, of course. This is another good one to get back with Dusk to Dawn that also draws out the game. What does the Vizier give you in the deck? Not much. He's just a bit of an experiment. And every now and then you get some value, like he pumps your token. When you embalm him, he pumps himself. But he pumps your Knight token or your Whirler Rogue or a Servo. So, a few things. And then we have Baral's Expertise, which is a big hammer if it's drawn at the right spot. And then we have Dusk, and this is the flip card that the whole deck is kind of around. Destroying all the 3 powers, getting back all the power 2 or less in the graveyard. It gets back a lot of stuff. So it's like using Dusk to Dawn instead of Pull from Tomorrow is almost what I feel like I'm building a blue-white deck around, which might be bad, but it does blow people out a lot. It's kind of the best thing about it. And then, of course, we got Abby, so let's walk that back. Anybody wants to try some weird blue-white thing? This is definitely, like, I don't know why this deck does well, but it does? I don't know. So it's one of the weirdest ones, for sure. Yonder says it looks very much like his Embalmed jank, except he runs Anointed Procession. So, moving away from humans that are generally low-powered and getting to humans that are high-powered. So this is not red-white vehicles. This is a this is go wide. This would be a Valor and Akros deck if Valor and Akros weren't pretty bad compared to some of the creatures we have. Like Valor out, Honored Crop Captain in, and it seems to be just great. So Kithian and Thalia's Lieutenant, like none of this should be a big surprise. It's cheap, it's aggressive, it just smashes things. This is probably one of the new cards that's a big deal. We have Always Watching, so this card gets to do work. Gideon the Trials is fine here, just as a beater. Cast Out's a really good removal spell for the deck. You can cycle it when you draw too many of them, and you need more threats. And then, of course, we have Glorybringer, because, yeah. Glorybringer and Always Watching, by the way. What? Pretty good stuff there. And then we have lands in Westvale Abbeys. We have 26 lands in this deck, which seems like a lot, but I wanted to be able to hit my colors, but also have Westvale Abbey for the go-wide, and Handweir Battlements for the meld. So it's interesting to have that much land, but it does make it possible to curve out really well. And you usually, if you hit 4 powerful cards, some combination of 4 awesome cards in this deck and a removal spell, you can win. And you also want to curve out. You don't want to miss a 2, 3, 4, or 4 drop at all. You don't have that much going on mana sync wise, so you need to curve. You need to. And you need to flip Abby sometimes right on turn 6 in order to win the game. So that's why it has 26 land. A little more than you'd normally find in such a deck. Boom, ba boom. Are the Cathartic Unions necessary now? My deck didn't have Cathartic Reunions. I guess it depends. I only use Cathartic Reunion in my zombie deck, or the Grixis Drakehaven zombie deck. Alright, black-white, Revolt, Token, Embalm. This thing is cool. Alright, lots of new cards in here. So, the black-white token deck and the hidden stockpile deck, it was interesting last set, but now you've got the Embalm creatures. Sacred Cat has the Embalm. We covered it with the Bant deck. Trueheart Duelist has the Embalm. It's awesome. Anointer Priest. So we saw all those in the Bant deck. Here they set up an engine where you can sacrifice them if you need to stockpile to keep the Revolt going, to keep making tokens and then bring them back and gain life, and it just goes on and on and on. Very grindy. Of course, we put the procession in here. Go hella wide. Enjoy it. And this is very much the go-wide kitten deck, as we even go up to Regal Caracol to get the absolute life-linking beats with the cats. This deck is such a pain. I love playing against control with this deck because they do whatever they do. They draw a bunch of cards, they wipe out They wipe out your field with various sweepers and such. You know what I mean? But you know what? You just put out another wide board, and you make another army, and you rebuild the army, and you embalm, and you rebuild the army, and you just never seem to run out of things to do. And it's really, really fun. So on down the line, we Westvale Abbey them, of course, and we've got 4 Evolving Wilds because we want that Revolt combo, we want that free stockpile thing, and we want that Fatal Push to be good. But we also need double white and double black all over the place. So we have kind of slow mana. It works. Like, we can play 9 tap lands because we have 4 Sacred Cats and 3 Fatal Pushes. So our turn 2 play is often one of our 1-drops while we play another tap land, and that's okay. That's okay. And yep, so this is kind of my kitties and tokens. I'm getting dared by chat to make an actual kitty deck. I think this is a cat deck. It has good cats. I know that there are more that we could play, but these ones have Embalm, so it's like you always have your cat. The cats never really go away. All right, white aggro. Are you boring? Do you like vanilla ice cream? Is that your favorite flavor of ice cream? Really? With all the flavors in the world? Somebody out there is like eating peanut butter cup swirl with fudge, and you want vanilla ice cream? Here's the deck for you. Now, we do find a little bit of spice. There are some new cards for white aggro. So, Cartouche, we're going to run the combo. We're going to run Cartouche of Solidarity, and we're going to run Trial of Solidarity, because we're going to swarm the battlefield, and we're going to want Vigilance for our Glorybound Initiate, which is our Exert card. I did try some other Exert cards, but I found it when you're too all in on Exert, bad things happen. So the other reason you want Vigilance is Anointer of Champions. Can make itself a 2/2 and attack. It's good that it can pump itself. It's a lot better. It's like a 1-mana 3/3 when it can pump itself and attack when it has Vigilance. And so that's why it's in there. But this Cartouche is actually pretty good. When you can have a turn 1 creature, and then your opponent plays a turn 1 creature, and you can play Cartouche so that your first strike creature gets through, especially if you have another thing to follow up after that, it's pretty good. It's not bad. And of course, if you ever get to live the dream where you play the Trial, get them low, and then play a Cartouche, get back the Trial, and play it again, well, you did it. You're the man. So, there you go. What about a weird Monument 2 creature mana deck? Sounds like somebody else's experiment. New Gideon is just a beat stick here. Cast Out's a good removal spell. You can cycle it when you don't need it. It's pretty awesome. 21 planes. You want all white mana. You don't have room for any brown lands because you're often taking turns that are like double white for this creature and then single white for another thing. You never just want the brown lands hanging out. So we'll walk it back really quick. This is a quick one. Just if you like vanilla, if you want to beat people up vanilla style, here's a deck. Go play it. Don't be mad at me if somebody Radiant Flames you. Avocado accuses Gideon of being boring and vanilla. I guess I can see what you mean. Gideon's been around a while now. Zombies! Zombie. Let's see. So, originally I was on mono black zombies, then I tried black-white zombies. And even with about 8, I guess 9 white cards is what I'm at now. Even with just 9 white cards, yeah, I'm into the black-white zombies. I'm into the Binding Mummy and Wayward Servants. These are too tribally good to ignore. So, this is obviously has a lot of new cards, but I'm definitely running Dreadwander. The one of Graph Harvest has been so good, I can't take it out. And there's a lot of pressure on the spot. But this thing, like, against other aggro decks, this just makes it impossible for them to block you. And you just win. And against control decks, you just you take them to Grindtown, right? It's excellent. Yeah, I don't have a blue-black zombies. This is my zombies. Or zombies, or Zombros, I like that. Or Zombros is the winner in the zombie battles for me. And then we got that Fatal Push. We got Dark Salvation, which is freaking amazing when your deck is full of freaking zombies. So that's nuts. Scrapheap Scrounger is our only non-zombie. He's like a he's an honorary zombie. He does his thing. Smuggler's Copter. Colossus, I always called this card a trap, and I think it was before. Now I don't think it is. Now that you have Enter the Battlefield triggers off the Servant for Diregraph, it is a legit awesome card to play. So, yeah. This card actually isn't one of the top performers. I end up putting the counters on the Belcher itself most of the time, unless I have a Scrounger to dump them on. It's not, in my opinion, the greatest, but it's still good enough. It definitely earns a spot. I just thought it was better. And the Lord of the Accursed is... This is a pretty great card right here. 3 mana Lords, not a lot of that going on. You have to look at like Chief of the Foundry. Anguish Unmaking... Good removal. Giss's Bidding can be played off the Smuggler's Copter or the Crypt Breaker, so we have some ways to madness it. And we go up to Mastery. Now, we're only running 22 lands in the deck, and we're running a 5-drop in the Mastery. So I justify that by saying, if you're short on lands and you got plenty of spells in hand and the game's going your way anyway, which it should be if you have plenty of spells in hand, you can just discard your Mastery to your Smuggler's Copter, or you can discard it to your Crypt Breaker to keep the beats up. You shouldn't feel terrible about that when it doesn't look like you're going to get there in a reasonable time. So, Black-White Zombies. That's what I'm running. I tried the human who gets a zombie when it dies, and I found it to be not aggressive enough. This deck wants to get him dead. So that was a bit of trouble for me. I eventually cut him. I really liked him for some time, but he got cut because I hated playing a 1/1 for 2 mana when I wanted to be as aggressive as this deck is. Plus he's a human on the front side, so you don't get your triggers. You don't get your Binding Mummy trigger, you don't get your Wayward Servant trigger. And he doesn't register for Diregraph. So he got the axe. He was my first instinct. My first instinct was wrong. We're almost to the front. And then we'll play some games after I get a drink. So thanks for hanging with me and just talking some cards. Oh, we'll also just go through the cards in Amonkhet that I'm not using and maybe cover some things that aren't as good as I thought they were. So Jeskai Control has pretty good mana, and what red gives you are some cheaper sweepers than blue-white and blue-black have. And it also gives you the closest thing to Doomblade in Harness Lightning, where if you can make energy in some way, this can kill things of all different sizes. Yeah. So what we got over there is we got Blessed Alliance, because, you know, stay alive, sack things, it's great. Pull, Censor. A lot of this isn't too surprising, but I do run my 3 Renewed Faith in here. I love my Renewed Faith in here. The life gain, again, excellent. The cycling, great. Highly recommended. Cast Out, another big reason to run white. Another deck with 4 of on Illumination. I still love it that much. For our finishers, this one doesn't have Disciple. Instead, it has 2 Dynavolt Towers. It has 4 Manlands, which end up winning most of the games. It has 4 Awaken cards in Scatter and Planar for another threat. It has Nahiri, and it has Torrential Gearhulk. So Nahiri doesn't just win the game, but it's a really good Planeswalker to have. Answers to enchantments, artifacts that are tapped and such. But the deck usually wins with land or Dynavolt Tower if they can't answer it. And it does work. It does plenty of work. The mana's great. You get to run Aether Hub. It's kind of your free roll because you got the energy producers in Harness Lightning and Glimmer. So mana's, oh, and Tower. So the mana's a lot better than Esper. It's one of the main appeals. And Mardu. We'll finish off on Mardu. Last season's Quest for the Best winner. What did it get from this set? Well, you may have already guessed it. Not too much needs to go into this deck, because it's already great. Gideon made the cut, but it's on the watch list. I'm not sure it's good enough. Cut and Ribbons is amazingly, awesomely clutch in this deck. It is another just, it's the sound of inevitability. It's what it is. It's take out your Thalia or your Dipala or your whatever awesome thing that you know, nice Blood Rage Brawler on turn 2, bro. Cut. But then for the rest of the game, you're just waiting. You're just playing your lands. You're just living your life, waiting to cut them to ribbons, baby. So, yep, that made the cut. You know what else made the cut? Yep, you guessed it. Glory frickin' Bringer. I don't even have a way to untap it in this deck like I do in the others. I don't have any way to get crazy. Just bring in the glory. Just bring in the glory. That's what this is all about here. It's just get them. Just go get them. And like I said, it's a lot like the Sky Sovereign, so that's still in there. And so is Avacyn, because you have to answer their glory bringers. Also, Nahiri got put in for Chandra. So we'll get into it a little. Some cards that gained and some cards that lost. One of the cards that lost a lot to me is Chandra, the 4-mana Chandra. If I plus it, it's like I get no effect, and then it gets nevered, or it gets cast out, or something like that. So it's like I paid 4 mana to shock them. If I minus it, it dies. It just, like if it's on 1 loyalty, it's dead. It may as well already be dead. It gets shocked, it gets walking ballista, it gets any of the things I just mentioned. It's not very good. Whereas Nahiri, you can go up to 6, or you can blow up their cast out, or you can exile whatever their big tapped, like their Glory Bringer, for example. You can Nahiri it. But mostly, Nahiri got the nod because of cast out. Because I want to blow up my opponent's cast outs, which still hasn't been an issue for me yet, but I think it will. I think it will. I mean, I don't even have many Planeswalkers in my control decks. We're actually going quite a ways away from Planeswalkers these days. So what got cut? We have no energy package. We have no Harness Lightning. We have no Aether Sphere Harvester. And we have no Aether Hubs. So our mana's a little bit slower. But it's totally worth it, because now, instead of trying to kill the opponent on turn 5, we try to swing the game dramatically on turn 5 with some things like this. And yeah, and we don't mind the game going a bit longer. We've got Fireball in our deck. Ribbons, it just does it, man. The card's nuts. I can't stress that enough. It is a, yeah, so some comments are that yep, no more Pia Kirin. Also, there were some 2-drops. There's no Selfless Spirits. Those are gone. The deck is a bit slower in general. The 1 of Fatal Push, the 2 Inventor's Apprentice. It is a bit slower in general, a bit more controlling, but that's because, like I said, you can take your time now. You can take a bit more time and just ribbons and win, or just Glorybringer and win. These things, to me, are much more sure bets than those other cards were. So, I like it. I'm a big fan. And I'm into it. Now let's do something really quick before I move right along. I'm going to scroll that one more time if anybody wants to copy this and grind a ton of gold. This is the defending quest for the best champion, after all. But let's go up top. Let's highlight some Amonkhet cards. I think I can do that up here. Let's talk about the stuff I don't use much. It's all lit up. So the lands, it is really hard to find space for these lands when you want them. Curving out with your mana is so important. I like these lands, but I just don't use them very much. That's all I can really say. Maybe there's a mono red deck for Sunscorched Desert, but even like Grasping Dunes and Black-White, it was good, but I don't like Black-White. Black-White control was too slow for me, and I want decks that dominate. This might also be good in the -1/-1 counter deck. And, but yeah, most of the time I do not want to sacrifice my lands. Every land I sacrifice to use a Grasping Dunes is a card I could have got off pull from tomorrow. So I don't want my lands going anywhere, ever. And that's the big problem that these have for control. I'd rather have a Westvale Abbey and crank out a bunch of 1/1s if I have the life to do it. Oracle's Vault. Tested it. Hate it. Monuments. I still don't like these, and nobody's kicked my butt with them yet, so they're kind of on the untested list, but I'm not going to make time for them until someone kicks my butt with them, because I do not believe in them. Throne of the God Pharaoh, this feels very Winnie Mori. Much more Win More. I'd rather have another vehicle, just a lot more flexibility, in my opinion. Samut, too expensive. He just always showed up too late. And there's Glorybringer. Have I mentioned that there is Glorybringer? Glorybringer just takes that spot away from him every time. No trample means he gets chumped a lot, and there are a lot of tokens, and it is hard to keep the battlefield clear. Charioteer can give trample, but other than that, it's a very loose 3-mana 3/3, and I really didn't like this card in testing, and I can't say much more than that. Vizier of Poisons, I could never hit nobody with it, and when I do, there's no creatures on the battlefield to put a -1/-1 counter on. He just poisons himself. Not very fun. Javanir I have not tested. Nobody's kicked my butt with it. Nahib, I tried the Hellbent red-black, and this guy, yeah, I hate being Hellbent. I do not like being Hellbent. I like being able to play my cards at a reasonable pace, and the black-red artifact version that I showed earlier outperformed that deck in every way in my Hellbent testing, which was, I think I got about 8 games in with Hellbent before I gave up on it. It's not like it was losing, so maybe this is an extreme bias on my part, but it definitely didn't feel right. Yeah, if I don't get the gender of a card wrong, sue me. I don't know what to tell you. I don't look very hard at the art. Bounty, we put that in green-blue, really good. Weaver of Currents I talked about before. Shock Bait, I'd rather have. This, again, please, this is a Dirtle card. This is not a tempo card. Don't put it in aggressive decks. And we talked about the Drake. I'm just gonna, can I zoom out on this thing? There, okay. I don't know how I got stuck there, but some of these cards are good. You saw them in decks, so you know I think well of them. I'm looking for the cards that are underperforming. Okay, Mouth to Feed. I want to try this card. I can't think of the right deck to try it in. So I haven't tested it. Based on how good things have been with other split cards, it might not be as horrible as we think. It might be good. Honored Hydra, I have not found good. When I embalm this thing, it seems like it always gets committed or it gets bounced, like something bad happens to the token. And the red-green discard madnessy thing, or the Jund madnessy thing, I tried those and I hated them. I hated them. Now, we talked a little bit about the red-green monster deck. They're suggesting that for Mouth to Feed. Maybe the energy one, but the monster deck, yeah, I talked about that. Still haven't gotten this trigger to happen, so he's on the back burner. Not a Crocodile the Crossing fan for 4 mana. I feel like I can be doing more. This is also like the ultimate Glorybringer. Just maybe you get a hit in with it, but then Glorybringer eats it. Feel bad. Anything else here worth talking about? Cards that may have been exciting. Big underperformer in Heaven and Earth. I was excited about this card. I thought it gave more like mid-game and late-game power to the monsters deck, but that deck turned out to be just inconsistent, not that good, and this card was definitely not that good. Just kind of rotted every time I played with it. Never a hit from both sides the way one might hope. Really underperformed. Same thing with the Serpapod, although I didn't have high expectations for this. Not good for me. And, well, that's a good card, of course. Let's see, what else we got? Exemplar of Strength, haven't played with it. My playing with the -1/-1 counter deck was not fun, and I hated the whole strategy, so I haven't put a lot of work into it. When somebody crushes me with it, I'll care more. The AI, though, the AI loves this card, and I have no problems. What else? I was mildly excited about Heartpiercer Manticore. Now I am not. Do not think this is the right card. Hazoret, really narrow. Very narrow. There's only a few things that this works in. And I think that the Grixis like discard Drakehaven-y thing is probably as close as it gets to good. I haven't tried this card very much. I'm not that enthused about it. I can see the potential, but I just think there are much better 3-drops in anything that would want it. So he hasn't made the cut yet, so sorry about that. Fling, also, I found it very clunky to use, and my Fling decks, I've ultimately decided just weren't very resilient. There's too much good removal in the format now for me to be trying to fling Husks or Colossi. What else we got? This card has been fatal pushed every time I played it, so I've sworn it off forever. Maybe your experience will be better. This card got a few triggers. Like I said, it's in one of my other decks, and if it hits once in that black-red fast deck, that's basically gravy. So, it's meh. There's usually better 2-drops, though. What else we got in here? This card. I have hated this card. I don't recommend this card. It's actually pretty hard to keep it pumping and doing damage. Most of the time you have a 1-2 for 2. For most of the time. Neon City talks about the Atog Fling combo. If you like that, watch the Super Ladman videos on YouTube. He is a miracle maker with that and seems to be able to make it happen a lot better than I could have ever expected. But that was not my experience. He seems to be able to combo people at will. I could not. Like I said before, the split cards are great. Haven't played with Cruel Reality. I still don't plan on spending 7 mana on this card anytime soon. And it still hasn't kicked my butt, so I await the pain. This card I messed around with a lot. Too expensive. You almost can never get it down and get it to happen. So he hits the sidelines, which is too bad. I was a bit excited that there was a lot going on there, but card just seems a bit too narrow. Worst case scenario, you can cycle it, but you can say that about a lot of cards that cycle for 1, which means it's an actual cost to being in your deck compared to a card that would cycle for 1. This card's great. Not a lot of homes, though. That's her big problem. Delirium's easily the best. What else we got? Bone Picker, not a lot of homes. The mono black aggro, very much the home for this bird. Unburden, just keeps getting cut for better things. It's not meant to be exciting. Let's put it that way. I briefly touched on this, but I'm not touching this. Somebody else can break this card. Nighthawk, get to work. Where is he today, for God's sakes? I never got to attack with this. I had it in almost all my token and zombie decks, and it never happened. Hey, now I'm being accused of bandwagon jumping with SCG. I had that deck before I watched the Open, thank you, and it's obviously different. Duels decks can't just copy lists off SCG. They can just try. Snipers, meh. Might be better in block. Maybe we'll get to that sometime soon. Reduced to Double still hasn't done the job for me. I'm waiting for the day. I had it in the Prowess deck, but it got cut for Collective Defiance, and I'm happy with that. Glyph Keeper, I have had no problem killing this every time I've encountered it, and every time I've cast it, it's been killed. So I am ice cold on this card. Ice cold. Ice cold. This I always want to put this in all my blue decks, and it ends up getting cut just because of space. But obviously, you're not missing much. I mean, cycling blue is pretty good. I've just never actually cast it. Cards I have cast, Kefnet the Mindful. This card is good, it's not great. You need your win conditions to be great. That's the problem. When I looked at this, I saw, hey, that can be a win con, and I definitely defended it. The problem is, you can only have a couple win cons now if you're running the Pull from Tomorrow mix. So, they have to be great. This is good, it's not great, so it never makes the cut. So, it's a good card, that'll never get into the deck. Yonder says, so what if the Glyph Keeper is killed? It's got Embalm. Yeah, go ahead, pay 7 mana, bring it back, kill it again. Or you just die because you weren't answering what your opponent was doing. Let's see, what else is worth a few words? What else is worth a few words? I hate this card. Most of the split cards are like the back doesn't matter because it's free. But all you get from the front are a pair of 1/1s. That's all you get. That alone is not very good. Now the flip, getting to sacrifice a creature and kill something at sorcery speed, it's okay. There's nothing too wrong with it. When I add up the total though, and this is the problem I have with it, you never really just want start. All you get are 2 creatures, so you need to finish. Like, you need to finish to make this card good. But when you do that, you paid 6 mana for a 1/1 creature and you destroyed target creature. That's a really, really horrible card. Picture that. 6 mana, destroy target creature, put a 1/1 creature into play. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I mean, this is not, I really don't feel like this is the card you're looking for. And I like the split cards on the whole. I like Aftermath on the whole, but I don't like this. People are saying that 2 1/1s at instant speed for 3 mana is not bad. I think it is. I mean, look at the removal spell you could run instead of this. Is you can run Anguish Unmaking and Never, you know. Look at the 3-drops you can run instead of this. There's a lot. Now, if you're a dedicated tokens deck and you want to play it and it synergizes with everything you're doing, I understand. But even that deck has so many ways it can go and so many cards it can play. I just don't think this is the one. There's people who are really excited about it. Some are saying, do you think it's any better with Anointed Procession? No, I think you can do better things with your Anointed Procession than this. So, no, I'm not impressed. I'm very unimpressed. I'm very, very underwhelmed. So, I don't know. You guys can like it. You can disagree with me. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, that's where I came down after testing. I can do better with my mana for the spot. And that's the way I feel after playing with the card. So, it's okay to disagree with me. It's okay to kick my butt with this card. I welcome it. Yeah, this card is really bad. Even in a tokens deck, this card is slow and not impressive. So, props to those who said this card was bad. I defended it and said it could be good in the right deck. It's not even good in the right deck. It's like, it's almost not good at all. It's pretty rough. Pretty rough. And I will go ahead and call it that way. I will walk myself back when I need to. Playing with this was very sad. It was a very sad experience. It's just a very sad kitty god. Not fair. And no, I'm not foiling it. It's funny you would say that. You know what? Actually, that's interesting. Anytime I say a card might be good on a podcast or on a preview stream, and it turns out to be bad, I should be required to foil it. I can kind of dig that. As a reminder to never play with the card. What do you guys think? Is that fun? Is that a good way to do it? How do you foil something? I've never even foiled a card. There we go. Foil all copies of this card for 5 coins. There. So that I never forget. Because I hate foils. This makes sure that I never forget that I was wrong. Because I know some of you guys love that. Alright. What else we got? We're getting down to the end, and yeah, I think that's it. I still think this card is horrible. Every time, now I haven't played this card, but I watch other people play it, okay? I watched other people play this card, and every time they used it, if they had an Anguish Unmaking, if they had a Murder, if they had a Grasp of Darkness, if they had a Fatal Push instead, and just killed the creature so they could get the damage in, they would have been better off. Like, I promise I paid close attention to that. I promise. And I promise you, so far from everything I've seen, this should be a different spell. Alright. And trust me, I took into account things like opportunity cost with the mana, things of that nature. Tribesman wants to point out that Legend plays this in his Black-White Zombie list. Yep, he's somebody I watch. Watch his games with that deck. If it had been something else, he would have won sooner. And there was a game against a Bant Tower of Power that LVD lost, where if Time to Reflect had been Murder, he would have won. Just watch it back. It's all good. Yeah, he hit the Avacyn with it, but he could have murdered the Avacyn, and then he would have won that game, remember? He hit the Avacyn, but he lost that game. He lost that game because he couldn't get enough damage through. And if he hit the Avacyn with a Murder, he would have gotten the damage through. So that's specifically the spot I'm talking about yonder. Quite specifically. All right. Think I've talked myself out. We're gonna play some games. Let me know what deck I should use. I know that there's ways to make a poll, but I'm not going to right this minute because I need to go get a drink and I don't want to learn how to poll right now. So let me know what I should play, and I will be back soon. Okay, I'm not going to focus on a specific deck today. I'm going to do a few different ones for what time I have left for you. And I'll try to hit all the, I'll try to hit a mid-range and an aggro and a combo and a control. And it looks like 5-color green has the most love right now, so let's give it a shot. I'm telling you, this thing has a fail rate. If it fails miserably, that doesn't mean it's not fun. I promise you. But you only need to get the mana to work about 2 out of 3 games to consider this for tournament play. We have well, I guess we have a new viewer. Is it Learner? It's hard to figure out, Zach here. It's hard to figure out what name. I'll call you Yitz maybe. But he says that discovered the stream yesterday by watching a video, and the first game he saw was against Chronic Slow Play, and it was the 5-color Walker deck versus the what did I play in that? I won with Ulamog, I remember that. So it was I think it was my ramp deck. Anyway, yeah, it was my Simic ramp deck, right? So we have to mulligan this. We don't have an Oath of Nissa. All right, we got a Caravan and an Aether Hub. That'll cast at least a Planeswalker, so let's get to work. The YouTube comments on that one are... People love that game. They love that game. Let's try to recreate it right here. We've got an opponent. This is Ninja of Green 240. Yeah, well, he's never done green like this. That I guarantee you. He has not played green like this. Okay, we don't have Oath of Nissa, and we don't have Gift of Paradise, but we have Aether Sphere Harvester, which makes energy. We have an Aether Hub, which uses energy, and we have Cultivator's Caravan, which adds mana of any color. If we keep these things together, we can cast any of our Planeswalkers. So there are other ways to skin this particular cat. And you animal rights advocates, don't freak out on me. It's gonna be okay. We'll get through this. I said it. I don't have to mean it. Alright, Caravan, please live. Our opponent has come out with Call of the Bloodline. Call the Bloodline. Somebody placed a phone call. Bloodline picked up. Bloodline said, hello, you have reached the customer service department of the Bloodline. Thank you for calling the Bloodline. We're not available to take your call here at the Bloodline. Anyway, I'm gonna stop now, I promise. All right, get to work, advocate. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. It's a fiery temper. Dear God, no. Not like that. Not like that. Alright. Alright, let's, so we've got our choice. And I think we'll play the Last Hope. No. Because if we play Jason, we hit a land. Next turn I can play Harvester and Last Hope. We could also just play Advocate and Harvester now. And then we'd have a bit of a board. This is... yeah, let's build our board first and make it hard to get to our walkers. Yeah, that's the way to do it. I've been accused in chat of being drunk. Hey, I can make bad jokes sober too. I resemble that remark. And I don't even drink, man. So, you get all this. You get all this without alcohol. Here comes a Fury Blade. And another temper. How about them apples? Well, that's gonna make it hard to defend things, but let's at least hold him off for a turn this way. Want to attack? Guess not. Well, that can make some dorks, but they can't crew nothing. So I guess what we should do is this. You can get to it, but at the cost of something. And we have more walkers where that came from. There goes the gift of paradise. We'll see how many fiery tempers he can pull out of his butt. Well, the Masquerade's a pain. Still, first strike won't be enough to get through the Harvester. He'll have to find something else. What was that? Oh, another Masquerade. So, we're gonna find out if his last card is a combat trick. We're not gonna use the energy. Not at all. We need that to cast more planeswalkers. Articurin, that's handy. Alright. Get in there, Sylvan Advocate. Alright, Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. Make me some plants. I need to block. And Harticurin. As the vehicle sub-theme is helping out quite a bit. Digging it. Opponent's down to 2 cards. They'll have to be good ones. As we are slow rolling the great unraveler of the secrets. And that's a good one. Our opponent just pulls Chandra out. No problem. That's what you do. When you have 2 cards left, you go land Big Chandra. Here comes some guys. How much are you gonna attack with? That's it? That's all you got? Okay. Go over here and crew. I think I'm fine losing the plant. We could have crewed the heart with the loyalty, but this way we defend the loyalty. We can just make more plants. Not too worried. And now we can kill that Chandra, so this isn't going to turn out that great for our opponent. I don't know if they had a better play. I feel like they just had to go for it. I don't think I could have done better in their shoes. Chat's gonna hate on American food here. Hey, that is my home. You can pick on it a little bit, but come on now. Come on now. Some of it's just delicious. Nothing more to say. Thinking about ticking down, but I think that would be a little crazy. We'll just send in here. I'll get Chandra off the field. Some good old flying vehicles. And now we can play Big Jace. Plus, I could kill the token, but I'm not worried. Don't need that land. Hey, Oath of Nissa! So as you see, these cards didn't even show up, and we still made the mana work enough to resolve 2 off-color planeswalkers. And the colorless cards and the vehicles did the rest. So, Vampire, what are you going to do about the situation? Coming after Nissa. Well, let's see. Got a way to kill it. What you got? Or just an oversight? Yeah, that's another thing about the AI. They do sometimes fall for the onboard tricks. Onboard trick meaning a trick, in this case, Heart of Kirin blocking and being crewed off a planeswalker that one can see, as opposed to something that isn't an onboard trick would be a trick that comes out of your hand, using information that is not on the battlefield. And yeah, that can play. You can come out and play. Let's power up the team. Crew. No, not like that. I hit the wrong crew thingy. There we go. Crew there. Crew there. I know it's tapped, but we're pumping up the jam. We're just pumping up the jam. Pumping up the whole jam. We don't have to worry about leaving a blocker back. We have Walking Ballista on 4, as well as a Heart of Kirin that can get crewed off of a Planeswalker. There's some brilliant discussion over food. I guess it's dinner time. Brilliant food discussion in the chat. Get in there, guys. Where are you going to eat tonight? It doesn't have to be. Just tell me where you'd want to go eat tonight. I'll just be having some chicken that's in the fridge because yesterday I got to have my favorite pizza in the world. It's from a local chain that's only here in northern Michigan called BC Pizza. I've been eating it since I was a teenager. I love it, and I wouldn't ask for anything different on any day of the week. So that's what I got to have yesterday. So today is recovery day. I'm just going to be having some pulled chicken for dinner tonight. We got some talk of ribeye. Some porterhouse. Some Philly cheesesteak. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. Somebody has some throwback taste. We got some KFC. 90s KFC. Apparently that is considered different. Yeah. I'm digging it, guys. I'm digging it. Sorry for those of you out there in the world who are hungry. and I'm talking about food. I do not enjoy it when people talk about food to me when I'm hungry, but sometimes you can't control where the chat goes. Like, I can't control this. I didn't ask for this to be a food discussion stream, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. All right, get in there. So there you go. We didn't have Oath of Nissa or Gift of Paradise right off, but we cast our Planeswalkers, and our green vehicle deck, our 5-color green, did the win. Avocado, do you think you could show off the red-black vehicle deck? Well, since you made the request at a really good time, I did want to do a variety of things. I can jump over to that deck. So we are going to jump around, and I'm just going to play a variety pack because I feel like I did a lot of teasing with just going through and talking about what I was working on. So I'm sure you guys have some things you want to see. Let's go ahead and go for this one. Now they're trying to blend the food talk into Magic the Gathering by saying, which of the Gatewatch would be most delicious? Oh, that's a good question. I like spicy food, so it's got to be Chandra. Got to be Chandra. Like Liliana, that's got to be like rotting food, right? I don't know what Jace would taste like. What would Jace taste like? Blue. Like, what food is blue? I'm thinking of Jell-O? I don't know. A Johnny. A Johnny looks like he's got a lot of meat on him, I'll give you that. A lot of meat on that a Johnny. Jace would be salty. I think that's pretty good. Or gluten-free. Maybe he's a vegan, too. No, wait, that's Nissa. Nissa's vegan. Nissa's a salad. Nobody's saying Nissa. That makes sense. Oh, I see. Lazy Bone. Lazy Bone got in there. Nissa's for the vegetarians. Yep. There you go. There you go. Nope. I'd be having that Chandra. Well, this discussion got Nighthawk out of wherever he's been hiding. That was Nighthawk saying Jace would be salty. How you doing, man? Starting to wonder where you were at. D-Man, so I imagine you were walking around the wedding reception with a big ol' iPad playing Magic Duels. Nah, dude, I'm not like that. I wouldn't walk around with an iPad playing video games at someone's reception. I was doing it on my iPhone, of course. Way more inconspicuous. I have standards. That gifted Aetherborn Fatal Push start from our opponent. That's a good start. That's a good start. Dark Chocolate X6, you have a good start. In honor of Nighthawk, you have to play the Sandworm deck next. Maybe. We should definitely get some ramping in there. He's going to take out the Engineer with Reeve Soul and Vessel Nascency. So our opponent has had a curve all untapped lands, 1, 2, 2, 1. They are on the move, so this is a good test. We have to see if we can hang. And our draw is floody. There's no question it's a bit floody. We're going to be leaning on some Thopter tokens. I consider, so there's some comparisons of the 7 mana enchantment, what is it, Cruel Reality, to Sandworm Convergence, and why one would run one and not the other. And I would probably run Cruel Reality if it were green or blue in that ramp deck. It's all in the colors. Like, I don't think you need that in black or in a Pull from Tomorrow deck to win, is the issue I've got with it. I don't think I ever said there's no way you'd play it. I said I believe what I've said is you don't need it to win. Maybe you can find a quote of me and prove me a liar, but that's what I meant. I'm trying to do it right, y'all. What to do with my life? I'm gonna play this now. In case I get a chance to somehow loot this mountain, I'm not sure, but whatever. I'm not scared of letting him see that I have that. Let's get airborne. This is really all we've got. All we got to win this game. Get that airborne. We have the push, though, for the Aetherborn, so we can stop him from gaining more life. But, man, an Ishkana on Delirium be pretty bad. Diabolic Tutor. What do you suppose you get? A sweeper, I'm sure. A sweeper, I am sure. Well, he's got a card. A card. Let's see what he does with it. Any attacks? There's the attack. Now, what do we want to do? I might be able to get rid of that Hydra, but I don't think I can just let him gain life. So we'll shove this out of the picture and just say la vie the Hydra. I'm sure he got a sweeper of some kind, so we have to get our damage in. Now, a good question for next turn is, do I let him kill Pia Kiran? I think I do. I think I don't. Pia Kiran's worth 4 damage if held back, so... Yep. The Apprentice, on the other hand, fodder. Avocado wants to know how many lands this deck runs. I would have to pull that up for you. You can check back in the video when I scrolled through it. I think it's 25. The Glorybringer thing gives you a lot of incentive to curve out. We definitely drew a lot this game, but you notice we do have some mana sinks in Pia Kiran and this Foundry. So we'll see what happens. We'll probably get Yahenni Expertise here in a second, is what I'm guessing from that tutor. Yep, there it is. Now he's activating, so I have choices. If I go to the Dome, then he's at 4, or I can do this. I can target his Hydra. I think I want that Hydra dead. I don't want him to be able to counter-race me. So now it'll have 2 damage on it, and then the Expertise will kill it. So the rest can go to the Dome. And there we go. And he's got a Rex Sage, but there's no artifacts. So that was a funny choice. And now we have to find a way to get that damage through. There's kind of a way. Yeah, we'll just play like this. See if he has another Rex Sage. He might need it. Where's Ribbons when you need it, though? And I could power up the heart to block, but I'm nervous, and I just want him to forget that these abilities exist. Yeah, there you go. I was afraid about that. Oh well. Another Rex Sage. 2 for 2. I'm being asked if I've had a chance to play Teamer Ramp on stream. I did at the release party. Wasn't very impressed. I like my Simic Ramp right now. I've been keeping to that. All right. Well, let's try to plow through. 2 creatures to go. Would be great to draw Unlicensed Disintegration. 1 time. Oh! Bang, bang! Bang, bang. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Easy peasy. Here, aggro. What was that? That was green-black. Delirium. Just making notes. Little notes from the game. Oh yeah, you make it look easy, right? Confirmed, it is the real CGV and not an imposter. Yeah, that's how we know when I top deck on camera. You got it. What was that request? Oh yeah, convergence ramp. We'll do convergence ramp. Let's bring the sandworms out, shall we? Bring them out, bring them out. Now that's an appropriate quote. The quote that just was put into the MTG bot is, "We are now entering Janktown, but it's a beautiful place." That's right, we're going sandworm on y'all. Y'all ready to get sandwormed? Who's ready? Onslaught is ready. All right. We are on the draw. Not where we really want to be, but we make things happen because we got Fog, we got a Druid, we got a Bounty, we got a Veggie. Think this is a keeper. Yeah, everything is coming up sandworms right now. It's not Suntailhawks yet. Somebody's saying I need to mulligan until I get a sandworm. I don't think you know how this is gonna work. Yeah. You know what? Fog is basically I'm gonna discard it to this card. What it is right now, because we're not under pressure. But let's see if our opponent has an answer for this Druid. That could be a problem, but in black and red, it's unlikely, without another color, that there's an answer to the Bounty. And if the Bounty sticks, oh boy. Oh boy. We'll have a pretty big ballista. Our opponent might be playing some kind of an implementy deck, maybe a Pia's Revolution thing. He's gonna crack that. We're gonna discard the Fog. We don't need it right now. There's no pressure to worry about. So there's some people asking, Luxa first or Veggies first? I know my opinion, but we've got like 60-ish people hanging out today. What are the opinions? Are we running the Bounty? Are we running the Veggies? In my opinion, the place to start is with the Bounty, as it accrues the most value over time. Also, it sets up a very big turn in the future. Next turn, Bounty draws a card. On that turn, we use Veggies. The turn after that, we'll untap with our Veggie mana, and we'll get our Bounty mana. And that will be the turn we make a ballista that's too big for words. Yep, Entropy is right on that. Entropy is right on that play in chat. We're running a poll. If you're watching later on YouTube, that's cool, but you should come on out to Twitch sometime. We have a good time. Nighthawk runs the sweetest polls in the game. Alright, you can hit the table. Should I attack? I mean, I can, but I don't see why. I guess I'd rather save the damage. Rather just let Druid chill. Alright, pile up that mana. Make it a good one. You can already see where this game is going, and it's gonna get nasty. We may not even play the Ballista next turn. We may have other big mana things to do. We had a tie in the poll, by the way. A perfect tie. The viewers have been accused of being bots by some people in chat. Hey man, most of y'all lurking, and I understand. I don't hate you for it. I guess Ballista doesn't do much on the board. I'd hate to have it get unlicensed or something. And then all it is like a really weak fireball. But at the same time, if I play the Nissa, well, I guess we'll see if we can flip it. If he kills the Nissa, we can Green Warden it. Ooh, I like this. I like where this is going. See what happens. Oh, pause. Thinking. Here comes an implement of combustion. What else? What else could possibly happen? Okay. Well, we're gonna finish the game because I know some people like closure. I'm one of them. Alright, let's plus. Yes, cards! Love it. Let's just go big mana. Big mana all day. Okay. There we go. Now we just need the sandworms, that's right. We've got 41 cards, 2 sandworms. Let's go find it. Opponent, would you like to improvise or something? Maybe that's what they're pausing for, like Metallic Rebuke is a card, but I would have used it before. I would have used it on an explosive vegetation, because if you don't, it just makes your rebukes bad. I guess I gotta watch out for those discard effects. Ah! What? No! You gotta be kidding me. Okay. Well, your turn. Nothing going on over here. Guess I just have no good cards to cast. Let's try to remember Metallic Rebuke, though, if our opponent has mana up when we go to do this. Let's try. That would be really sad. We would not want to see that. And it's an Esperzozo. And end of turn. Let's party. Let's go for 8 so we don't get rebuked. Insidious Will. Oh yeah, he can copy it, but he can't change the target because the card doesn't target. So even Insidious Will isn't quite a blowout on me. Oh yeah, and sure, we can do that. Why not? Seems good. Seems like a good use of our time. Casual draw 8. Holy cow, what do we do now? What do we do with this mana? What do we do? We don't have a convergence yet. We can't just go winning the game without a convergence. Why isn't it giving, it doesn't give me counts on my land, so I'm trying to count. So excuse me, please. 7, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 18 or 19. Okay. I mean, is it worth bouncing his stuff? I don't know. Maybe do it like this. How are your lands? We'll just bring it back and do that to him next turn. And you can come out. And 3 mana. I know, I'm playing with my food. Don't hate me. It's the AI. You can play with the AI. They play with you. Alright, do your worst. And the next turn we'll exile the rest of the lands that produce colored mana. Oh! Look at that. Fatal push. But who would have thought we would do such a ridiculous amount of crazy large things? The developers couldn't be prepared for this. They just couldn't be prepared for this. It's too much. Alright, that card's back. Yep, bring out that servo. What else you got? That's a good request, AP. You wish you had a simple land counter for both yourself and the opponent. That would be nice. You could just pull it up with, say, a button. They have actually added features in instead of taking them out this time for the most part. So maybe that's something that could come along. See, that's what we're not converting enough. We need to converge more sandworms, I guess. All right, let's end this charade. Get rid of your colored mana again. Play that land. Untap those. I don't know what I'm even supposed to do. It probably doesn't matter. I'm probably overthinking it just by even thinking about what to do. The opponent has quit. It is true. The opponent is on their way. The AI is stepping in and taking the beat down in their stead because they just couldn't take no more. In fact, they scooped. When did they scoop? I think it was before the Bounty of Luxa even happened. It was before our first draw 8 resolved. Oh yeah, you don't run out of we don't run out of gas very much. Holla Mega Beast, welcome to the chat. Kill with Ballista, somebody says. From 20, that's a tall order, but doesn't mean it won't happen. We're gonna get that bounty mana next turn. Well, we might be able to do at least 10. Would 10 suffice? It's definitely going to clear the road for Ulamog. What else you got? Anything else? I don't even care. Don't need any of that. All right. Let's take him to the woodshed. Boom, 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 boom. Machine Gun Kelly in the house. You die, you die. And then we just go Nissa Postal. Who missed lethal? Who missed lethal, Nighthawk? Yep. Some people are pointing out that I could have used Kiora tap for mana, then the untap to get the Ballista to 12. I find that to be unnecessary. Mega Beast says, I have come to steal fun and interesting brews. You should watch back this video when we're done. I'll also send it to YouTube. I spent about an hour going through about 20 decks that I've built that I think might be good, that I'm going to be playing over the next several weeks. And I don't have the deck list published anywhere, and I'm not going to because it's freaking 20 decks. But if you go back and watch the video, I walk through each deck so you can copy them if you want to try some stuff. And there should be something for everybody in there. Should be something for everybody. For example, we discussed 5-color green, 5-color super friends, but no, the only basic lands are forests, and there's 20 forests. How about that? That's a little weird, right? So now what? I want to do a control deck. Do we have any strong opinions on which control deck we pull out? We have blue-red, Jeskai, blue-white, and Esper that I know of for sure. Blue-red is the request. Yeah, these are very slow control decks, but I find them very, very effective. Blue-red request got in there first, but thank you. Thank you for your submissions. Mordivore with the seal of Mordivore approval, the ultimate in meh, says meh. I don't think that there's a request to always pick the deck that has the most odd tech. I don't think I really do that. I don't think my tech is that odd. Mega Beast, I really did copy the 5-color green concept, but I found ways to make it doable, I think. So, you know. Hey, you take inspiration from where inspiration is, not from where you hope it will be. Oh yeah, off to the races. Off to the frickin' races, baby. Alright. Just gonna main phase impulse that. Don't want to risk revolt and something like a green wheel liberator. AP, I don't mind if you post links. Does the deck die to triple Rec Sage? I don't think so, maybe. I guess it depends. There's our 1/1 card drawing dork. Gonna need to draw that, gonna need to draw another blue though. We have a lot in the deck, shouldn't be a problem, and thankfully it is not. Let's see if our opponent can have a big turn 3. I don't think there are a lot of big turn 3s in Elves, but maybe he'll play the one that makes like 2 other things. Shed Weakness. Not what I expected. So the board is pretty much as good as we could hope for. Not gonna slam the tower, not on the draw. We can certainly wait. Tower can come out later. This is the turn they usually play Lissalana or Dwynnin, so gotta have your counterspell ready for them. Another tap land means that's gonna wait a little longer. Is there anything worth breaking the concentration of? What's it gonna be? Liliana. That is a worthy cancel. In the elf deck, there just aren't going to be that many worthy cancels, so no rush. And yeah, we got some card draw ready to go. Let's hope we're not too caught up in countering things. So we'll let that happen. I'd rather draw cards. And I'm going to Glimmer before I Illuminate to build up some energy, so hopefully when we play Tower, it's ready to shoot something. And there, yeah, that's fine. I'm not scared of that card at all. More 1/1s. We'll kill them eventually. There's a spray, definitely want you. Actually, we want both of these. More lands and some kill spells is perfect. Go ahead and shoot this now. Like I said, I don't want to risk enabling Revolt for him if he runs Green Wheel. Or pump spells. We already saw that there was a pump spell in the deck. Shed Weakness. And probably 2 damage coming. Mm-hmm. 13. Now that's something I'd consider countering, as it does represent a kind of card advantage. But I think I can find something to kill it. Have I already used both Magma Sprays? No, just one. This is a tough one, actually. But I think I'll find a way to kill it. And if not, I'll have Dynavolt Tower, so I'd take 1 hit from it at the most. And I'll have plenty of cards to discard. I'm going to let that resolve. Good old Origins Elves, baby. Why am I freezing up? There you go. Definitely want you. I don't think more cancels can hurt me. So we'll take them. We're going to need them for the Wrecked Sages, as people like to remind me. There's the land, so we'll play that. We'll get this down now. We're ready to counter that Wrecked Sage should it come after us. Hopefully they'll go for it before combat, so I can use the tower. No, they're going right to it. Gonna take that one. Down to 8, passing turn. All right. Let's go ahead and shoot this now. We made it through without getting Rexaged. Gonna make me discard. I think I'll pick this and go ahead and shoot away you, I guess. All right, moving right along. Megabeast asks if it's been a very laggy, disconnecty post-game. Yeah, that is definitely happening to me. From watching others, I think it's happening to everyone. I'm really not sure what to make of it. I'm gonna see. Oh, what do I do here? That can resolve. Nothing else. Okay. I'm really counting on drawing some cards I can play here, but I don't think that's too much of an ask. Maybe it was. Maybe I should have played that first. Oh, there we go. It's alright, 'cause I'm saved by the bell. Max out our energy here. Avoid getting blown up by a pump spell on his turn. And here we go. Feeling pretty good. So whatever the cards in his hand are, I feel like they're removal spells. There, he found a Rexage. Yep, we'll go with this one. Just use up a bit more of our mana. I can't think of a lot of spells I'm going to end up countering. And, alright, we're going to play it out to show the whole deck. What are the win cons in this deck? Boredom. Dynavolt Tower is one. And so is a Torrential Gearhulk, a Disciple of the Ring. There is a Westvale Abbey we probably won't be using because of our low life total. There's Awakened Scatter to the Winds lands. An opponent's Tears was suggested. Yeah, that's possible. Let's just keep him off cards. Salt. Yeah, Salt is definitely one of our win cons. I'm going to send over this Fumarole and see if our opponent has a way to kill it, as that is one of the things that could happen. If they're running the good old Bone Splinters instead of those Fatal Pushes. Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Burn that sideways. Just 5 more of these. You saw how fun it was for me to figure out one, but our opponent does take the damage, that's good. It means there's no Grasp, no Fatal Push. Here comes... What are you? I mean, an Antelope. Yeah, Antelope and Elf Tribal. Okay. I'm never sure where the AI is doing things these days. They sure take their time about it, unfortunately, but do what we can. We have definitely drawn our share of land for this game. That happens, though, when you're drawing a lot of cards. We have not drawn Pull from Tomorrow, which would be very nice to see. And would be a breaker of a card to pull. Regardless, we're still in a good position. Chat points out that now we know why our opponent ran Shed Weakness is a combo with the Antelope. So there was a purpose, there was a greater plan. There was a greater plan. The opponent is playing Elves with some -1/-1 counters is how I see this. Alright, let's go ahead and keep shooting things. This'll put us up to another tower activation, so seems good. Seems fine. Maybe good's too strong. There's a card. Now we have the Time Twister in our pocket, should things go sideways. Turn it sideways, down to 8. Only 2 more after this. Only 2 more. And we have a counter, so I would even counter a removal spell at this point to try to get this game ended. Let's see if we get to commit something to our memory. We're up to 6, but no play. I know some of y'all are thinking the flood is real, but this deck floods every game. That's just the way the deck is. It is built that way. That's why we have so much card draw to try to get through it. Will there be fogs? Oh, there will be fogs. Oh, what's this? There's the counter spell. I guess I'm gonna counter it. I'll tap out. Can my opponent kill me? The only thing that they could do for sure, right? Oh, I can kill them. Never mind. What am I thinking? Counter you. Counters here. I was thinking they could Gaia's Revenge me. Oh, that didn't work. Hold up. Yeah, that doesn't work the way I want it to at all, does it? I always forget with that fumarole that that's what happens. And then there's nothing to switch. But next turn it'll be more interesting. Go Mega Beast. The wife delivered twins yesterday. Bravo. Bravo. All right, let's see what happens now. 4-7. Fun. So the turn you do it, I guess, what do you have to do? You have to be able to pay? Yeah, you have to be able to pay for the fumarole again the turn you do it. Nighthawk asks Megabeast if the twins are called Ulamog and Kozilek. Oh. Oh. I have a feeling that Bliss Girl wouldn't go for that one. I have a feeling. Just putting it out there. All right, that was a control deck as requested. What haven't we done? What haven't we done? We did aggro. We did control. We did ramp. I guess we could do something mid-rangey. Yeah, and then we could do something combo. So what I'll do is I'll do Zombie Haven, and then I'll finish on Sion Procession. You named the girls Bruna and Gisela, huh? That's priceless. Somebody is asking for some mid-range with the Teamer Energy. I mean, if I've got the stamina for 2 more games, we'll do Teamer Energy, and then we'll finish with the Scions. Nighthawk says, I always thought Voice of Nightmares would be a beautiful middle name. Yeah. Hey, Jay has a question about naming decks. I named them off stream. I named them before the stream started because it was crashing things. We can keep this. It doesn't have blue, but it also doesn't have blue cards, and it has a turn 2 copter, so, you know, some things don't change. Our only new card here is Hazard the Fervent. So seriously, Beast says the names are Isadora and Estrella. For those of you out there wondering, the names of Mega Beast's kids. We have comments like, that sound like elf names. Can't say they're wrong, but it's cool. That's what happens. That's what happens when you get fantasy genre fans together. And it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Certainly heard stranger names in my time. Alright, what are we doing with our life? I think what we'll probably do is get the key on the table, temper the Jace, punch for 3. We'll do this first in case our play changes based on what we draw. Off the copter. We already played the 5-color forest deck, Mega Beast. So when you rewatch the stream, that's the first thing we do after talking about the decks. The very first game up is we play the 5-color planeswalkers. The 5-color green. Okay, I could still get the key down, but I think I'd rather get the fumarole down. Not in a rush on the key. So our opponent has an elite. +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Could just raw dog cast the Haunted Dead. And since I don't have anything I want to discard right now, that's not a terrible idea. Gets us closer to getting Fervent. Opponent might be blue-black zombies. Oh, they're a Tower of Power. I don't know why I didn't notice, but yeah. Our opponent running the hundo stack. Pre-sideboarded against tutelage. Now, I usually like to hit my land drops with this version of the deck, so maybe I'm supposed to pitch the Neonate? Actually, the key is probably the pitch. But it's a card advantage engine, that's hard. But if I pitch the key, no matter what I draw next turn, I can get Fervent. So, I think I want to get Fervent. Entropy sees it. He says that it's going to be the 100-100 elite combo because he has the 100 card deck, and if he can completely mill himself, it'll be a giant elite. All right, there's another land. I guess I want another blue on the field. Opponent might have counters, but I don't think that slows us down here. There we go. So let's get Fervent. You got a counter? People don't read this card, Hezeret. Hezeret has been targeted by Unholy Hunger, Flesh to Dust, Reprisal, and Never today. All four of those have targeted the Fervent. You know what? You know what the Fervent says? It says indestructible. Fervent doesn't have a glass jaw, you guys. Does not have a glass jaw. Alright, so tap down the Ferv. Let's attack. Yeah, I know. I was expecting a bit of a censor myself, I'm not gonna lie. Kinda saw it coming, but this deck only plays one way. Alright, down to 7. So there's a question by Lazy, is it possible to make a somewhat decent deck with tutelage for self-mill? Tutelage can only target your opponent. You cannot target yourself with a tutelage. Dum dum. Dum bum bum dum dum. Alright, you done? Opponent's leaving up the mana, maybe there's an Unholy Hunger in our future. I can tell you, when it's dinner time and we talk about food, there is an Unholy Hunger in my future. Alright, can't attack with it anyway, but we can leave it back for the activation. See if we can get in. Rule Revival. There's the removal spell. I'm gonna bring back that Zombo. I don't think there's anything for me in response here. But, since we're at the start of the attack step, I can do this. And we'll get him to 1 with the Fervent on the battlefield as well. Should be good. Should be good. $20-1. And passing turn. See, let's just go for I almost said it, the perverted. It's a joke because the invocation, like the all foil version of this card, has weird text on it that makes it look like it says the perverted, but it's the fervent. Is there the fervent? Boom! Knock that one down like a bowling pin. All right, so we'll get the Flame Shadow energy out because Nighthawk's here. We're playing all of his favorite cards for him as usual. Flame Shadow Conjuring and Sandworm Convergence. Speaking of Nighthawk, Mega Beast says that his April Fool's video is the best duels video of all content creators so far this year. And he says no offense to me. I take none. For I create nothing. I simply play and record. The creative points and the credit due therefore definitely go to folks like Nighthawk. Yeah, this card has Flame Shadow Conjuring, Mega Beast. That's how... And it's actually a pretty legit deck. This hand, though, I guess we'll keep it on the play. On the draw, I'd probably want to mulligan it. Which land do I want? I'm trying to remember my land count. I think there's more green than red. So, am I going to top deck basic forest or basic mountain? I guess forest. I should be prepared to top deck a forest. So we'll do it like that. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Straight to the Kithion, is it? Alright. I see how it is. I see how it is. Oh, man. I guess we will do this and this. Let's get on the board. And here comes the Glory-bound Initiate. So our opponent is on the curve, baby. Curving it up. And passing. Well, I face aggression with aggression. Let's get you out there. Yeah, I can afford it. See if he wants a block. Nope. Okay, what to do? Do we do this on our turn or his? I guess we could hold out for some kind of an aura. Read the signs. 7 rank. Things could go wrong, such as revolt. I mean, if you're sure you're going to kill something, you should do it on your turn. There's a lot that can go wrong. Revolt, instant speed, damage prevention, etc. So let's just get this thing out of there. It just makes Kithion worse too. And gets us the most possible energy. And a desert. We got deserted to the face. Pata! Hiya! And there's the Always Watching, so the curve was there, but we weren't having none. We weren't having none. Gotta love it. That does make staying aggressive hard, but I still think we should. The sooner we force our opponent to trade with our creatures, the better off we are. So let's go. He won't block. He won't block. There's no way he'll block. Glorybringer, where art thou? Yeah, boom. Yeah, it's the good old dies to removal argument, Nighthawk. No 5/5 vigilance lifelink for you. And there's a Slayer's Plate, ladies and gentlemen. Slayer's Plate. So, I think I'd want to just trade my Brawler for that Kithion. Or no. I can just stay aggressive, right? Well, I'm going to trade it for something. I guess I should trade the Crassus for the Kithion. Yeah, I guess so. We could have just tapped it, but maybe that would be the better play. But I missed my window. I was talking. I was like stunned by that Slayer's Plate. I really was. But I think that's the block we want. Because the Brawler can keep coming through with tramps. Opponent was on a tear. Oh, we found it. We're lacking that ever so crucial thing in Magic. Mana. Like, oh mana, where's my mana? Okay. Okay, calm down. Jokes aren't good. Just not good. You gotta let that go. Alright. So do I play the other Brawler? I think so. It's not mana efficient, but I think I'd rather have the Brawler. Although Declaration Stone's his removal, right? Well, that's fine too, because we've got Flux. So, yeah. Yeah, that's what we do. He's at 8. We want to be able to threaten the tramps lethal. We've got a question in chat. I can never get Slayer's Plate to work in any decks. Any tips? Well, chat, what do you got? What do you got? Because I'll tell you, I'm pretty stumped on that one myself. And I think chat is taking the answer that is most likely correct, which is don't. Just don't. Some cards aren't meant to be good. They might look like a good card, but they're posing. They're not really good. And this will get us through. This is lethal. So, there you go. It was that Slayer's Plate, man. That Slayer's Plate. It's just a time walk is what Slayer's Plate is. And then it's a time walk when you play it for your opponent. And then it's a time walk when you equip it for your opponent. It's the sad truth about Slayer's Plate. I mean, things have their moments. And there are some equipment synergies. And everyone is definitely allowed to have their favorite card that they make work. But my recommendation, don't play the Slayer Plate. All right, Teamer, pounding down the perfect curve. Like, if you could stack your deck, wouldn't it go Kythian, Glory Bound, and Always Watching? But denied. Not today. Not this day. All right, let's wrap it up. Let's bring out the combo again. Let's bring out the combo again. It's just not a great day unless I can make infinite combos. Infinite combos, infinite Scions is what I mean to be saying. Let's see who the poor victim is. Nighthawk asks if it still crashes. The Ballista still crashes things. What you can do is you can sack, like, say 4 Scions or some small number, maybe 8, to make a Ballista, and then you can make 4 Scions at a time and feed them to the Ballista 4 at a time to get it up that way. I have done that once. It takes a long time. But there are other ways to win that I went over earlier when I was talking about the deck. The Pious Evangel, you can flip it, and then you can just sack the Scions and drain the opponent. It's pretty good. Oh. His hand is too slow, I think. Not a bad hand, but I think it's too slow. That's not a good hand. There you go. That'll be fine. But yeah, Pious Evangel. You flip it over, you sack the Scions, away they go. Plus, it combos with the front half and also gains you a bajillion life. Any tips for average duels players that has a rough time deciding how to make a mana base? You should copy people that you trust, people on, who make the YouTube videos and such, and B, you should you can use the autofill if you want to do that. Now, if you want to learn how to make your mana bases better, there's some articles on the internet that you can read. Just Google building a mana base in Magic. There's also a book, Next Level Deck Building by Patrick Chapin. I think the ebook or the paperback, I think the paperback's like $30, but it's a great gift. Ask for it for Christmas or go treat yourself, pick it up, and it's a good read. It's probably the best like straight up paper book reading you can do on Magic these days. Any idea how to tutor Dusk to Dawn in Graveyard early so it can be cast on turn 5? Well, you can just cast it. You could have a Key to the City out, and you could Diabolic Tutor for it. Yeah, I know. We're up against a fairy deck. Let's see if we can shock the world. Some people have strong opinions about spending $30 on a book. There's knowledge in those books. You want the knowledge, sometimes you gotta pay for the book, but that's up to you. You can decide how much you want to pay for it. Maybe there's a cheap version on eBay somewhere. Just about anything can be had at a lower price if you really want it, if you look around. And there we go. That fairy beatdown still commencing. Let's gain some life, make some guys. How long will it take for you to get fair matchups in terms of levels? That's a great question. I will never get fair matchups on Xbox. Xbox does not have matchmaking that works. So I get paired against 1 ranks and 3 ranks all the time. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it, but it is the way it works if you play on Xbox. I don't have that problem when I play these decks on iOS. Our opponent looking at 2 blue, 2 white so far. We've been Celestial Flared. Happy to sacrifice the Embalmed creature. We can get it back. Here's a Valor and Akros to go with that fairy. That's interesting. So our opponent does have a go big plan. We're having a bit of a flood plan. But it's okay. It's all good. It's all in fun. Get in the pit. Try to love someone. Kid Rock. Turn that sideways. And we'll get out the Watcher. I looked into streaming from iOS. I did check it out. And I did try to make a few videos. I didn't enjoy the process. I just don't enjoy spending that much time on my iPad. Not when I can be playing on my Xbox. So I did look into it, if that's worth anything to you. All right, we have gone wide. If we had a... Is there a way? Anybody got a way I can gain control of this Valor and Akros? It'd be really nice. Oh, so now I can't flip my Evangel. Pretty smooth move by the opponent. We've definitely drawn the non-combo-y slower side of the deck. But we're still going to gain the life. So we can't flip, but the life total is going to keep going up. So we'll just go super wide, see if we can win. Yeah, I guess so. Just see what happens. And we got him to 9, so if he blocks the 2/2, he takes 6 and then 5, and that should be... Okay, now what happens? He blocks a 2/2 and a 1/1. He takes 5. And then the next turn he blocks 1, 2, and he takes 3. So he's not dead. But the next turn he would be. Telling time. So now we shouldn't count on that. The only way that it could get messed up is if he blocked the Embalming Anointer Priest. So how about we draw less land now? We've drawn enough. We don't need any more. Don't need any more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not quite lethal with a top-decked Drowner. There we go. Alright, let's see if we can put some more Embalm in the graveyard and find some combinations. What do we got? Show me something good. Yeah? Yeah, that'll do. No Embalm creatures, unfortunately. Can I play this? I can. Then what do? I can tap down his stuff. Doesn't leave me much of an attack, though. But I think if I do it next turn, I just win. No. I think we play it this turn so the 5/5 can attack next turn. We have 3 Scions. Yeah, that's fine. Get that life gain, yo. So as you can see, that life on the skyrocket trajectory. And the insanely wide tokeny board. Here comes the Declaration Stone. The target, sir, is what? What's it gonna be? Eyeless Watcher. Yeah, okay. You got it. Okay. I'm a little surprised. I guess it works. Ah, he has a reprisal. Hey, do I want to sack my Scions? I can tap his guys. Then I can attack him for 1, 2, 3, 4. Leaving him at 5 life. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Better than them doing nothing. So he's got some removal spells. Little to my knowledge. So perhaps our opponent was just holding out their removal spells, trying to make sure they hit the right thing, since all of our stuff was about equal value. There's a kitty. What else can we get? Wrong. How about now? Okay, sweet land. Getting there, guys. We are flooding. We're on the floodplain. Fortunately, we got a lot of life. Are we running the big kitty in this deck? No, not in this deck. We have it in a different deck that is built around tokens. This one's built around comboing and staying alive till we get there, so no, afraid not. Now, obviously, we're not doing a very good job of comboing, but that's really just the shuffler fault at this point. Just drawing too many lands. And then when we did crack our vessel, we had like 3 win conditions right there. Our opponent's getting aggro. That's fine. They're letting us have lethal. Let's see if they've got something to block with. I hope so. No? Archangel Avacyn, what do you think? Is this a seal? Or isn't this a seal? Well, that's a late one. But even if it is an Avacyn, let's get him to 1. Or to 2. Okay. And Tenacity. Alright. Well, there's something I wasn't going to play around. Guess we'll have to do this the hard way. Okay, if he blocks a Scion, we can sacrifice it and there's no life gained. Nope, not gonna do it that way. All right. Flow out, says Nighthawk. Yeah, I'm feeling it, bro. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I got. Fortunately, I've got a little recourse yet. Give me that life gain. All right. So this is gonna slow down a lot. We're not quite gonna get to close out here, and our opponent will have Valor, and they will have some beats, but we've got a lot of life gain from a lot of cards in our deck. So this is gonna get funky. I mean, every token we make right now produces 3 life, and we have Anointed Procession, so everything that would make a token is gonna make more tokens. And we're definitely taking this bump. But in the future, I might block with the cat, because then it makes tokens on the way back. Nighthawk says, this is stupid, and I'm loving every second of it. Ah, more land. Why? Why you do this? Right? The flood is legit. Now, we've lost 2 Eyeless Watchers, and we've lost 2 Drowners. There's only 2 Eyeless Watchers left in the deck to run the combo. And here comes the Consul Lieutenant. What else you got? Surely you can bring more pain and suffering to me than that. There you go, get that flyer going. Yep. Run that. Oh yeah, pump that fairy. Don't miss no points. Alright, looks like he's gonna leave it there. I could go for a multi-block, but nah. No reason. Not when Tenacity is a card on the radar now. If they run one, they may as well run them all. And 4 mana up pass. What the heck are you waiting on? I don't know. But let's find out what happens when we embalm this kitty. Here, kitty kitty. Report your 2 copies to the battlefield, gain 6 life. Thanks for your attack. Care to do it again? More kitties. And here comes telling time. Well, go find what you can. Second telling time. Yep. Pulling it right out of that deck box. Putting it right in that main deck. He didn't do anything with that 4 mana, so I don't know what's going on over there. He could have pumped the... Oh, he's holding up Tenacity again, I'm sure, in case I attack. If you're gonna run it all. If you're gonna run it all. Come on, where's my Westvale Abbey, yo? Yep, still attacking. Pausing. Pumping. Now we're down to 3 mana open. So left, yet you didn't leave Tenacity up. It's a big miss there. We'll make more kitties. I'm not afraid of making more cats. What do you think? Attack? What does he do? Block, block. Take 1, 2, 3. It's not enough damage to be worth it. But how about them lands? If we have a card in our hand, our opponent may think it's a trick or a removal spell. Whereas if it's on the battlefield, our opponent knows the coast is clear to do whatever they want. So yes, we're psyching the opponent out. We're making them afraid of what the last card might be. Obviously, it doesn't work if the opponent doesn't care, and I would certainly argue that's a bit of the case we have, but we do our best. Oh yeah, it's all coming in. So I'm guessing this is a tenacity play. I don't see a lot of point to blocking. I mean, he's hitting me for 9. Can always block later if we actually want to worry about our life total. And there we go. Draw. Vessel, please find me something worth finding. I bet I whiff, but let's see. How about some embalm stuff? You can put some embalm stuff in the graveyard. It'd be so fun. Okay. Oh, man. So, right now we have to choose. Is it Abby or is it Ballista? Both have the potential to win the game. I would say Ballista is safer than Abby. Oof. But he probably has Reprisal. I'm going to take Abby. Screw it. Any reason to be afraid? No fear. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Attack, and I'll attack with you too. I don't want to lose to a Blessed Alliance. I guess I would have to attack with 2 if my opponent knows their timing rules, because they could Blessed Alliance and, let's see, they could Tenacity, block the cat, kill it with first strike, and then cast the Blessed Alliance and kill the Profane Prince? Yeah, I guess I have to do that. And now at that point, do I have to attack with all? Nah. We're good. Ha-ha! Ha-ha-ha-ha! Yeah, that's right. He's doing it. Now, does he have one more? That's the question. Oh, he didn't even make me sacrifice. Wow. All right. Here we go. No tragic arrogance, no tragic arrogance, no tragic arrogance, no tragic... Ah, what? What just happened? What is this? What? I mean, really? Are you serious? Are you serious right now? I was unprepared. I was unprepared for this. Never saw this coming. My bad, ladies and gentlemen. My bad. Okay then. Oh, opponent killed their own sprite, so there's that. Okay. All right. All right. This is great. We are living the life. Okay, hit me. Ooh, it's here. I don't have much to bounce. I guess I bounce my Abby, my Ormondal. It turns back into an Abby, and then I can start making tokens and eventually flip it again. I mean, there's nothing else I can do, really. No, leave my colorless alone, please. I'm gonna need that. Flash this back, gain a whole bunch of life. Let's send in this token. Now that our opponent's out of their tricky tricks. Do you run a Rex Ages? No, man. This is like pure combo. Rex Age would be interaction. I don't have the balls to run Rex Age. Alright, I'm just gonna play out this land now. We might need it to do things. Our turns are becoming really mana intensive. You attack. Nope, you don't attack. Alright. Let's get this going. I don't have any other way to get it out from under there. So back comes the Abbey. Hey, they got that part right. How about that? Now we can... I mean, Abbey is a bit of a combo here. Let's just pass turn, though. We might need that Displacer activation. Here comes the River Marsh. Okay, okay. You got a way to tap down my boy. I get it. I get what's going on. But you're only at 4. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What else you got? Yeah? Could bounce. I could flicker one. I may as well, right? No reason not to. So you get Unrenown, I guess? Seems good. I guess he gets a Valor Pump. But whatever. Still a net positive. Alright. Let's go ahead and start making dudes. I think we have lethal unless he drew another Tenacity. Oh, it's gonna be close. Well, it depends. If he uses his mana to tap down my Displacer. Whoo boy. Alright. Let's see if he lets me go to combat. He does. Let's flicker out his River Marshal. He's gonna tap nothing. Lazy Bone, you cannot block and flicker itself. It does say another creature. Alright, he's gonna tap it for spite. The Salt Tap. And sorry guys, we didn't combo off. We didn't even Ormondal for very long. But the deck finds ways. Anointed Procession's just a good card. Displacer's just a good card. Abbey's 6 mana for a 1/1 ain't bad when it's 2 1/1s. Woo! Did it. I don't know, I think I can do one more. Feel energized. Energized by that, but I do want to go infinite, so I like to go out when I like to go out on an infinite. That's what I like. Let's see if we can go get one. Yeah, that was a fun seal clubbing through an epic flood. That's what that was. An adventure. That was an adventure. Well said. Mega Beast, didn't the stream say Anointed Procession was bad? Well, it's one of those cards that's very good when it resolves, and everything's okay after it resolves. In situations other than that, it is bad. But, sometimes there's just a super combo deck, and you gotta do what you gotta do. And this is my super combo. So there we go. This one rank doesn't know what's coming. See? Yeah, it's... Look at this hand, you guys. It's all there. Displacer, Watcher, Procession. Displacer, Watcher, Procession. 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 Who could have predicted that we'd get dehydrated in that game? Nobody could have seen the dehydration coming. Well, we're up against red, so the real question is, do I just throw down the Displacer or not? So this is more like a Saheeli Rai combo, where we probably want to do it on turn 6. We probably want to play Procession on 4, Watcher on 5, Displacer on 6. Okay. Messing up what I want to do a little bit with that. Pacifist, as we gotta cast spells. Keep it from flipping. But I can do some tricks. Yep, the werewolves are here. Our hand is pure combo, but it's potentially slow. We do have to worry a little bit about, like, if he plays the Howlpack Resurgence and just starts hitting me for 4. Trample. Rider. Rider, baby. You think I should just go for it? You think I should just slam the Displacer? Maybe I have to. Oh, that's a good draw, though. And that keeps the faith and can block an additional creature. So you can double chump with it, which is not irrelevant. Do we just go for it? That's a question, isn't it? Do we just go for it? If this just dies, though, like, we're not gonna be doing much of anything. Ever. It lives, meh. A very meh situation. As we're still not great, because then next turn what? I play Watcher. Oh, okay. But I mean, I live to serve. I live to serve. The chat overwhelmingly said to go for it. They said werewolves have no removal. Let's see. Werewolves. What's it gonna be? We still need an untapped land to make this work, right? I think we do. So he's attacking.